Cheers. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm not going to kidnap you, and you can still do your podcast next week. Well, actually...
Maybe you should kidnap me.
Why?
2 weeks.
Why?
So I'm like on vacation.
So Dan just has like, oh, we don't know where Fernanda is.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about her.
Exactly.
She's coming. Let me get you to pull that out in front of you real quick. There we go. It's more of a up. Up. There you go.
I do
just
not
put into
know
whatever
technology. I'm very Brazilian. We just get Miami Vice.
You can just take it. This I actually installed yesterday. Ooh. So I used to use those stands right there, just in the corner there.
Yeah.
And they were just a little bit too awkward. Like I had the stand sitting there, and for that I was just sitting in front of the unit there, and it's just awkward. This you can just move around wherever you want. You want to go do burpees or something? You can bring it with you.
I'm good.
No,
I already went to the gym.
You went to the
today.
gym? So you're good?
I mean, halfway through the bottom, if you challenge me, I might try it.
We'll do some sprints out there or something. See who's faster, you or Alfred.
I already ran today, so I'm fatigued. I feel like he has the advantage.
The advantage? No, he has a lot of pent up energy. Like me and my fiance, we were on break for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we just went back to work, and she's gone back to school. And now he has that little bit of a void. He's like, where's all my love?
You were just here.
I know. Your podcast.
Yes.
I did listen to the last episode today at work.
The one with Dan.
With Dan, yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get you to bring that a little bit closer. Just a little. There we go. Just enough room that you can still sip your wine.
Like always afraid to break things.
No, don't worry. It's good.
Did I not break this? This is perfect.
If you break it, I'll send it over to Dan and he can cover it for you guys.
Cool. Deal. Okay, this is better. This is good.
That's perfect. Awesome. The one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, well, not one, but I got plenty of stuff that I want to talk to you about. I find it very encouraging, and it gives me a little bit of hope that don't take this in a demeaning way whatsoever. Okay. But to be able to do a podcast in your second language is very impressive in my opinion. And to be even a freaking journalist in a second language. Where does your experience come from? And first of all, like, where did you learn English? Did you go to English school? How does it work down in Brazil? Like, I'm being completely ignorant here.
No,
Help me out.
It's good that you ask instead of just assuming.
Yeah.
No, so I learned English basically by myself.
Okay.
But we have English at schools. Like, it's basic. It's mandatory in every school. So you get a little bit of like a base or something. Mm-hmm. But then I just got curious and I started watching a lot of television when I was like 9 or 10. Because I just didn't really have friends, which, it's fine. It builds character.
Was that the intention when you were watching these shows, though, to learn English, or was it just an entertainment aspect?
Just entertainment. But then I started getting curious. Like, I wanted to learn things. So what I would do is we didn't really have an option to not have subtitles. So I would like block out the subtitles with like a piece of paper and try to pick it up, just get the words and things like that. And I think I just had a knack for it. Like some people are, that was my talent.
Yeah, learning another language.
And everybody's like, "Oh, so you're good with languages?" Nope, just English, just the one.
Portuguese, English,
Spanish.
done.
Yeah, some Spanish, but and that was sort of like that. And then at the same time, I switched like units in my school. I was in the same school but with a different building.
Okay.
And the system with English was a little more advanced. They had levels. And I was the youngest person in the highest level. Like, I went to the third level.
Bravo.
But then there, it really picked up because I was able to combine my curiosity and what I had been learning by myself and the classes. But I think that's a lot of people tell me that I do not have a strong Brazilian accent. And I think a lot of the reason.
There's like a hint of it.
No, I have a hint of it, but it's not, if you listen to other Brazilians speaking, it's not that strong. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I learned by listening. I didn't learn by textbooks or things like that. So it just like, it got stuck in my brain. But I always joke that Seinfeld taught me English and it helped. Yeah. But there was a little bit of Baywatch there too.
Baywatch? You're a Hasselhoff girl?
I would watch because there was everything. So I would watch Cheers.
Oh, okay.
Baywatch, The Cosby Show, which now is a little unfortunate, but I'll
cut that part out.
Please do. Married with Children.
Wow. Okay.
SNL reruns.
Okay.
Which was hilarious because they were reruns from like 30 years ago. And I was like a child and I did not understand American culture. So I just got, why was I laughing at that? But I just thought like Dana Carvey's church lady and things like that. So it was a combination of things, but mostly self-taught. Just the fluency of it all. But then by 14, I was fluent.
Was the goal, like, what were your aspirations at that time though? Like, did you know you wanted to get into journalism or even writing? I know you went the episode that you had with Esther Lin, you guys were talking about how you mainly started off writing by writing children's books.
No.
Or I'm off on that. Okay. Damn it, research.
It's okay. It was a long episode.
I remember the name. It started with a Z though, right? Zelouise or something?
Yeah. Okay. That is weird that you know that. That's good.
Gotta do a little bit of research on the people that I bring in.
No, you're right. No, yeah. I thought that I understood that differently. No, so yes, I used to write things and I wrote this little like series called Zelouise. So
okay.
Yes, that happened. But I just wrote. I did not have any intentions of being a journalist. I did not know what I wanted to do. I was a nerd. I was a good student. But I thought about maybe becoming a history teacher.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How life would have been so different
if
you went that route.
I would have committed murder by now. Imagine me teaching children.
Did you have like a sector of history that you were really interested in?
Just world history.
Just world history.
Yeah.
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific. I like wars and things like that.
I'm the same way. I love war. I don't know what it is.
Oh my God. It's just so... Have you seen the Netflix show that they have like the World War II in colors?
It's on my list. I haven't. Even my fiance wants to watch it as well. She's very into it as well. It's on the list. We started the first episode, got halfway through, and then we started watching something else. But definitely want to get into that. Like that new 1917 movie that just came out. Oh, I want to go see that.
It won like a Golden Globe, right?
Yeah, and it comes out tomorrow.
So good. It's just I don't know, it's riveting. Like I hate war and guns, but I like war stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When they're able to do it so well in movies, you're just like, yes, I want to watch that. Are you into like the guns war or like the medieval swords?
Guns war.
Guns war. I'm the other way. I'm the other way. I like the knights and like I don't know if that makes me a little nerd or whatever, but
aren't we all?
Aren't we all? That's so true. No, I really enjoy that aspect of history. I don't know what it is, like maybe trying to figure out the mindset that these guys had when you're just army versus army running at each other. And like, it's just, if I'm at the mall and people are shoulder to shoulder with me, I'm like, oh my God. And now think about being stabbed and trampled on and stuff like that. That's insane.
It's insane. And then you think about the hygiene situation.
Oh,
my mind always goes there. I feel so weird. I'm like, this situation must smell bad. Like, why am I... These people are dying, and this is what I'm worried about. But I used to be into the medieval shit when I first started getting into history, and then I just started like, I was gonna be a history teacher, I thought, or whatever. But then I liked writing, and my dad was like, "Oh no, you should get a real profession and not teacher." Little did he know. He doesn't consider that as a real profession. My dad is an engineer.
Okay,
in his mind, it was like,
so he's sitting on his high horse over here.
Exactly, it was like either you're a doctor, like you have to be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. Like these are the. And then I said journalist, and he was like, "I'll allow it. I already have 2 lawyers. I'll allow a journalist."
But what was his reaction when you told him that you wanted to get into MMA journalism?
He liked it.
Interesting.
Because that's the thing. Like the rest of my family, everybody was puzzled. Yeah. I was puzzled. I remained puzzled. 10 years later, I'm like, what is happening?
That's pretty much the story of anybody in the MMA industry.
Exactly. Like it just happened. And then you look at like, fuck, it's too late now.
I myself, I started off way back. Like it was just a coincidence that kind of fell into my lap. I became a fan in 2008. In 2011, I went to a school for music business. And one of my roommates had a friend that was disabled but needed help every now and then. And he came by the room one time, and my roommate wasn't there. And he just needed help with the vending machine. And this kid was in sports management. Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, Daniel was telling me that you're really into the UFC." I'm like, "Yeah, like huge fan, right?" He goes, "Oh, we have a head of PR for Canada coming to give a speech. Yeah. Do you want his contact?" I'm like, "Yes, please, please." It was Steve Keogh. I'm not sure if you remember that guy.
I remember by name.
Yeah. So I emailed him, and luckily it was right before they came to Toronto for the first time for that Jake Shields and George St. Pierre card.
Yeah.
and they needed help. Like first time they're ever doing 55,000 people, right? It was insane for them. So they asked me if I want to volunteer. I'm like, I'm totally in. I'm whatever you guys need me. Don't pay me. I'll pay you to help you guys. Whatever it is, just let me help. So I ended up helping the PR team. Heidi Dean.
Yeah.
Dave Schaller was there back then.
I love him.
Dave Schaller was the best.
He's awesome. He's such a
I love that guy.
dude.
There was one night we were working really late trying to get media passes done, and he's just, I think he's going cuckoo at this time, but he was like doing wrestling WWF entrances, coming through the door, pretending to. I don't know if you were ever into WWF, WWE back in the day, but yeah,
It's not a thing in Brazil.
Oh, it's really
Yeah, we called it. We had an old version called Tally Catch.
never heard
So
of that.
everybody's like, sometimes I'll say I work with MMA. People are like, oh, Tally Catch, and I'm like, no, no.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel when people try to mistake it. I'm like, no,
No.
MMA, it's different.
No, I was like, you do you, boo, but that's not my thing. But yeah, not a huge. It's very niche.
But he would like come out and like pretend he's the wrestlers and stuff. It was great. It was super fun. But I was hoping that's when they opened up the Canada offices as well. And now I'm like, I really want to get into this job.
But
really
what were
wanna
you
work for the
doing
UFC.
like with?
I was doing PR, just literally
Doing regular PR.
PR. So I would help with like the setup and tear down of the press conferences.
Yeah, I did PR for the UFC for a while.
For the Brazil side.
Yeah.
I don't. Was it Canada and Brazil? Were they working together? Those two offices? Oh no, sorry, it was Canada and Australia.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
But we've had people from the Canada office go to Brazil, or did I meet them in Vegas? Carolyn Blakely.
Yep.
Yeah.
She just got on around the time that I went out there to Calgary. There was a Calgary event when Barao fought Faber. I was out for that event. I helped them with a ton of events, and then they shut down the Canadian offices. And I was like, crap. Then they only had like Carolyn, and they even let go of Tom Wright, who was like the president over there. So that really bummed me out. But then I really started to get involved with the regional scene here. There was a channel called...
The guy was in charge of like Latin America, and he's Canadian.
Dave Shaw. I told you, I'm like...
But did you meet him then? No.
Yes, he was on the team.
Okay.
He was actually the one that introduced me to Vandalay. So he goes, oh, I heard you're a big Vandalay fan. I'm like, yes,
Dave is awesome. He's such a nice guy.
He's so awesome. I got a 2-for-1 package. I got Vandalay and Thiago Alves.
He calls me honorary Canadian, Dave Shaw.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started working with the regional scene. We had a promotion here, Score Fighting Series. The Score was a huge channel here, and they were doing their own MMA events. We had like Jordan Meehan. We had a couple of these guys that eventually made it to the UFC. Then Rogers, I'm sure you've heard the name. Yeah, way back in the day.
He's still a child.
He's still a child. Yeah, he started fighting when he was like 12 or something.
But he's like 1,005 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I went down for that. And then Rogers bought out the Score. They shut down the Score Fighting Series because they had a contract with the UFC to broadcast their rights. So after that happened, I didn't know what to do. I eventually made a couple other contacts, and we did this event, Substance Cage Combat. Do you recognize any of the names on there?
That's awesome.
Right? That fight actually ended up getting canceled because his opponent pulled out. So he didn't end up fighting for us. Yeah, he didn't end up fighting.
Jason Sago, he fought for the UFC
yes,
too, right?
He was...
Alex Ritchie too, no?
Yes. I believe Jason Sago and Alex Ritchie were actually supposed to fight each other, and then Sago got the call up to the UFC.
Okay.
So that fight got scrapped too. It's just so tough in Ontario specifically because the commission was super strict. Like they were charging like up butt for like random fees. Like it's very rare to see a regional MMA promotion in Ontario. In the last couple of years, it's kind of picked up a little bit, but it's nothing like the West Coast. The West Coast just has, I don't know how they're doing it, but they're just able to put on event after event after event. And keep a following. That's the toughest part here. Like it's hard to create a following to make an MMA promotion successful, or even successful enough to break even.
Yeah,
we lost.
But that's the issue in Brazil as well. Right
Is it like you guys have Jungle Fight there, which is huge?
But it hasn't been happening they just came back, but for a while, and I think it had to do with like government support and things like that. But they used to have like events very often, and now it's super rare. We have Shudo and things like that, but it's very hard. And I think it's very hard everywhere. But like I said, it's very hard to even just break even. Like,
if it's not the UFC, it's even PFL is having issues. Bellator has issues, stuff like that, right? What I was going to say is I actually put together this page every UFC event. I'm not sure how much research you've done into myself. Since
None.
nothing at all. So I also do.
Surprise me.
I also do MMA handicapping. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this I know.
Yeah. So I do every UFC event. I make a page where I link the last however many fights from 2013 for every single fighter. And the ones that I find probably the funniest are the Brazilian small promotions that just seem like the cage is in a small area where like it's just enough that the bleachers are right there, right beside it.
And it's
Have you been to any regional or many like
I've been to good regional events, never like
good regional
shady shit. Because I worry because I'm like if this person like breaks their jaw, like they're screwed.
Where's the insurance?
There isn't any, so they're just gonna be sent to like a public hospital. I don't know. It's just like my mind goes there now.
Yeah.
And it got worse over the years. Like at first, I was just like violence. Yes, feed me blood. Love it. And after a while, I was kind of like, maybe no. Maybe these are actual human people.
It might have been once you start to converse with these athletes, right?
Absolutely.
Once you start to really build a relationship with them, they're like, okay, this is more than just seeing these guys who punch each other in the face.
Absolutely.
Right?
And just my consciousness, because at first it was kind of like, okay, they signed contracts, like this is what they do, they're consenting adults, and then in time you start realizing that things aren't that simple. But I went to a few Shudo events because so when I first started like getting really into MMA, my boyfriend owned a website that's kind of big in Brazil, MMA Brazil.
Oh yeah,
you probably
of
heard
course.
of it.
Yeah.
I actually started doing their podcast. It was me and they are now on a fancy studio, like 4 people.
Wow,
like it's a thing. It's a whole event. But when it started, it was me and my ex Alexandre, who owns the website. He stepped down from like covering things, but he was very much involved in the day-to-day. And we would just like sit in front of his computer with like a shitty ass computer recorder and just like have the song play in this like the opening song play,
the extents like, people will go just to look professional. Oh my god,
it was ridiculous.
That's awesome.
And we would just talk for 2.5 hours, which to me is insane. I do not do any episodes now over 1 hour. But we would do that every week, 3 hours.
You guys, Joe Rogan, Brazilian Joe Rogan down there.
I had to like hydrate and like warm up before we.
You had to go to the washroom, do all that stuff, get that out of the way.
No, and sometimes I'd be like, okay, I need to pee, so you do you, and then I would leave.
You mentioned on the last podcast that you said you started off in soccer. Or you did some soccer coverage? I did some
soccer, yeah.
So was it soccer first, then MMA, or did it couple together? How
it was kind of coupled together. So I went to school for journalism. In Brazil, it's a little different. Like we don't have the major, minor type system. You pick a degree and you go into school for that thing.
4 years?
4 years.
Yeah.
Journalism. And it was like, no way out.
Wow.
You're stuck with this.
Wow.
Halfway through, I hated it.
Really?
I hated it. I did not want to be a journalist, but I was like, I'm just going to finish this. Give my dad a degree. Be like, hey, Dad, here it is. My dad is a nice person. I'm making him seem like a mom.
No.
He's nice.
He's looking out for your best interest. That's all.
It's just a little old-fashioned. But so I was kind of like in that mentality. But in order to get the degree, I had to get an internship. Like it was mandatory. And all my friends had already gotten internships, and I did not want it because I was like, I do not want to work with this. This sounds like my worst nightmare.
Wow.
But they had an opening at this really big paper in Brazil called Jornal do Brasil.
Okay.
Which was one of the biggest for a while, but it was going under.
Oh.
So the interns worked like reporters because we were cheap labor.
Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, they didn't have to pay you guys, right? They didn't pay you at all.
No, we got paid.
It was a paid internship.
Yeah,
that's a blessing. Up here,
peanuts though.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
At the time, it felt like a fortune. It was like 700 reais.
I can go get all the cheap wine that I want.
Well, I didn't even drink back then.
Oh, really?
No, I'm a late bloomer. I'm getting there, but I'm making up for lost time.
Took the tricycle wheels off recently. That's
exactly. Flew straight to the moon. But so it was enough, but so I used to work there, and I started in the online sector. I did basically everything, but mostly translations.
Okay.
Because that was the one thing that I had, my English.
Yeah.
And I think it was the main reason why they brought me over. So I would do translations and just like quick hits and things like that, which I did not mind because I did not want to interview people. I did not want any part of that. I just wanted to like.
I'm gonna touch on your interviewing skills a little bit later. Just saying. But
oh man, I just wanted to like get in and get out. Like this is just like a thing that I have to do to get this degree.
Does when anybody say Lena Landsberg send chills down your spine a little bit?
Man. But,
sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
But it was a good interviewer, or it was just a camera. But we'll get to that. But yeah, I just did not. I didn't really want to do it. I was doing it because I had to. But then I started really enjoying MMA at the time. It was kind of simultaneous. And the guy who worked in the sports sector of the paper, who was it was just, it's so weird now that I think about it, because it was just like so many things had to come together for.
Tell me about it. Oh, for sure. No, I believe in the butterfly effect. Like one little change will change the rest of your life.
Dude, it was the whole thing.
Sorry, if you don't mind me asking, what year roughly was this that you started to get into it?
2009.
Okay.
I started getting into it in like 2008, 2009, but the internship was 2009 because I'm very old.
Come on.
But it was interesting because I was starting to like MMA, and it was getting big in Brazil, and the sports editor, he was like, just a temporary thing because the actual editor was sick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and the actual editor did not like MMA. But this editor did, and he had a blog, which was interesting because he did not know much about MMA.
Oh my God, that irks me the most. It irks me the most.
But people didn't know any better. So they had him on, and so he brought me along to help him with the blog. And I had a lot of access because it was a big paper. So when you went to like PR people, they wanted to get their clients on. So I just got to interview so many people early on, like Anderson, Shogun.
That was like when it was really blowing up. Like I think UFC 130 something, 134. It was real. That was real. Anderson and what was on that card? Was that Anderson and Okami?
Anderson, Shogun, Okami. Yep. Shogun fought. Big Knock fought.
Yeah. I think that was when he knocked out Brendan Schaub.
That was when Edson Barboza knocked out Terry Yedem with the...
Yes.
And I missed it.
Oh, no. You were cage side for that, though?
Yeah.
But you missed it.
Not cage side, but like in the...
media section?
Yeah. I missed it. I will never forgive myself.
You'll never live that down.
I was just like looking at my phone, and the internet was bad, so I was probably like fighting with my phone, like a BlackBerry. It was a purple BlackBerry.
Oh my God, BlackBerry! I've never been on the BlackBerry life.
Stupid thing.
That's funny.
Why is everybody looking at it?
Oh, you just missed the greatest knockout of all time. That's all. That's all.
But I had left by then. It was just a funny thing. Like it was, the whole thing was just like a bunch of weird circumstances coming together and allowing me to do what I did. But
and you came at the perfect time.
I came in
timing could not have been better.
Perfect time. And there weren't that many women doing it, right? So I kind of like stood out right away. I was already tweeting. I already spoke English. So all those things started I started doing live tweeting of events, and at the time I didn't have any. I still don't. I'm not a famous person. No blue check mark for me.
That's an atrocity, but it is what it is. I'm not going to go too far in that.
Twitter,
holla.
Twitter people out there.
I don't know.
Everybody who knows Twitter people.
Apparently, Ariel Hawani has a really good in with those Twitter people. Anytime he hits them up, somebody gets a blue check mark.
Oh, really?
I do have his email, so I'll hit him up for you. Don't worry, I got you. Okay. I did work with Ariel a little bit too, actually.
Okay, so maybe put in a good word for me.
I got
he doesn't even follow me.
Oh, come on, Ariel.
He's like the only MMA person who doesn't.
Have you guys had any interactions or anything?
I don't know if he remembers it, but I translated for him.
Oh, cool. When you were working for the UFC? Or?
When I wasn't working for the UFC directly. I was working for a firm that did PR for the UFC, but they were my only client.
Oh, okay.
And I was really bad at PR, so the only reason why I was
translation. That's it.
No, knowing MMA and being a good writer, because I would write like all the press and the English thing, because I would communicate with the American offices and the Canadian offices. That's how I know people and people in Europe and everything else. And I did. He was doing. What was it? It was for a website, something there. Ariel did backstage. He did backstage interviews, and something had happened to his translator.
Oh.
And I filled in, like, he disappeared for a while and I filled in.
Yeah.
I used to remember that because I was terrified. And after
Trembling.
And after the first one, he turned to, it was Isabel Hodge. She did PR at the time. He was like, can we keep her?
That's awesome.
Can we keep her?
Some good validation for you right there.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
and yet the guy can't even drop you a follow. Come on, Ariel.
I mean, Ariel. Come on. That interview with Viscardi Andrade. How could you forget?
I'll clip this out and email it to him. I'll be like, hey, just so you know, you owe this lady a follow. We ran into each other a few times after that. Yeah. He was always super nice to me.
So.
No, he is awesome. Like I am surprised that he actually replies to my emails when I do send him emails.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like he was in town recently to cover the NBA for Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, let me shoot my shot. Let me see what the hell is going on. Right. So I sent him the email. I'm like, hey, if any chance, because actually I used to have a college radio show when I was in college and he came on that. He was like my first ever guest.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
was back in like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
And he was completely on board, fully did it. I still have it on YouTube. I'm so embarrassed. I was so nervous. Like,
that's my
beyond
Lena
nervous.
Landsberg. That's your Lena Landsberg.
What's my Lena Landsberg? Actually, I just shared it on Twitter today. Sam Stout. Do you remember Sam Stout?
Yes, I do.
Hands of Stone Stout. He came to my college for an appearance. And I managed to track him down, and we went to the back room in this kitchen of the pub. You can hear music in the background as well. And I'm just, I'm Matt P. Jazz here with Sam Stout. You're fighting Eve Edwards, UFC 134. How do you feel? Whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
I felt I was the word. I listened to it today. It was like 10 minutes. That was probably, it wasn't on camera, so that might be different.
That's better.
But I was still trembling horribly. Like it was not a good experience for me.
To this day, I do bad interviews sometimes. Like it depends on the day.
Another thing I wanted to say, actually, how you had Esther Lin on is kind of how I feel about having you on. It's in a way like I feel like it gives me a little bit of validation. Like in terms of, like I used to work at an MMA gym, and I had the head coach of that gym as my first guest. Okay. He was the head coach of Elias, Sean Pearson, all those guys, and me and him buddy. Like I worked for them for like 2.5 years, so it felt really easy for me. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of glad that he was number one, and he kind of had to
the one
the first episode I just sent you. Yeah,
I only started it.
That's fine. I'm just like, okay, this is it. It's kind of better that it worked out the way it did, just so I could get comfortable in this freaking seat and be like, okay, I know what to expect. But with you, once you actually agreed to come on, I was like, holy fuck, she said yes.
It traveled all the way,
and you traveled all the way.
It involved walking,
I'm like,
a bus, a train.
Got off the train, got back on the train.
It said transfer.
What did you use? To
just maps on my phone. But
I'm gonna give you a quick
tip. Working.
Trip links. Download that app.
I will do that.
Best.
I will do that.
Best.
But maps hasn't been failing me. That's why I trusted it.
I think Trip links is probably the best for regional transit.
Yeah.
That includes the GO train, all that type of stuff, and it'll give you up to the minute. Like it's going to be this late. Blah blah blah.
Maps was actually good about that too.
Okay.
But
I told you to get off.
And it failed. And it just said transfer. So I was like, I got out. And I was like, it's probably like, there's probably a sign.
The funny thing is, I was actually going to send you a message and be like, make sure you don't get off at Bramalea because it sounds similar to Brampton.
That would have been amazing.
I'm like, she got this, right? She got this.
And I was like looking around and I wanted to ask, but like everybody was sort of getting off. So I was like, well, that's a transfer station. Everybody left the train. There was like,
that's a huge stop, though. That is a massive stop.
How was I supposed to know that?
And that's like rush hour, too.
Bramalea is a thing. Like, that's even a word.
Next time I know.
Was getting off.
That's so true.
But that's fine. I just stayed there outside for like 15 minutes.
That was it.
That was lovely.
But yeah, that's kind of how I felt once you actually agreed to come on. I'm like, this is kind of something that I've been doing podcasting for a while now. Yeah. But this is actually my first like real foray into having guests in studio. I've thought about the idea of doing people like, I think you do over Skype sometimes.
I always do phone. The only person I did for the podcast that I did live was Laura Sanko.
Okay. For me, it's I don't like that little bit of delay. You have some great connection. I don't know what it is because you guys sound freaking phenomenal because you guys sound like you guys are beside each other. But for more like Ariel's show or any of these other shows, interview shows, James
there's
Lynch.
a delay. It's
I don't like the
perfect.
delay. I don't
It's
like
not perfect.
that. That's why I didn't want to do it over Skype.
No, it's way better. Like if you can do it in person, it's way better.
That's what I said. And once you said that you're coming to Toronto, I'm like, perfect timing. Perfect timing. I got a bunch of other people lined up as well too.
Ooh, fancy.
But you're probably the highest profile. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, exactly.
Hello, this is the first time anyone has ever said that to me. So I'm just going to cherish this moment. Please send me this little clip so I can send it to my dad.
Perfect.
And be like, Dad, I know you don't speak English. But what he's saying is, my dad is like my biggest fan. I can't even.
Really? That's awesome.
He like watches everything, but he likes television, right? Because it's the thinking. So if I'm on a screen, he loves it. So it's kind of like if I'm doing whatever, like a quick appearance on something, he sees my face.
So wait, are you saying that he's potentially going to see this?
He will, and he'll
Hello,
be like
Mr.
posting
Prates.
it. Ferreira. Prates is my mom.
Ferreira.
Ferreira. It's easier. Why do I do Prates? I think I just want to make it harder.
Well, what was the thinking behind that, though, if you don't mind me
Ferreira
asking?
is super common in Brazil.
Yeah.
And Prates isn't.
Touche.
So
actually, it's the first time I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
I remember you breaking it down in one of your podcasts, the difference in terms of how to pronounce it.
Yeah, because in Rio, you'd say Prates. Like that's our accent. Moraes.
Yeah.
Or if you're Chad Dundas, you say Moraes.
I listen to her podcast every freaking week as well.
If you're listening, I love the comedy event, but every time Chad says
this is the first podcast
Moraes,
I ever listened to, actually. MMA podcast, CME.
I don't even listen to MMA podcasts, but because like MMA is such a big part of my life.
Yes.
That when I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to like crime shit or The Daily or, just like news stuff and political stuff. So it's kind of like
It's all MMA, all MMA and comedy for me. I love comedy. I'm a huge comedy fan.
Too. But I haven't really been able. Have you heard? Was it somebody like it was on Twitter? Somebody told me to listen to Behind the Bastards.
Haven't heard that.
It's like about horrible political figures, like bastards, just assholes.
Yeah. They just break down assholes. That's what they do.
They tell their stories, but like it's so funny because it's a guy, the host, and he always has guests, and a lot of them are comedians. So it's fun. So he's like talking about Assad and how he's an asshole, but he's making it fun.
And that's something that you're on. Like you love doing that or listening to that podcast specifically. Is that one of your top ones?
Yeah. Have you ever listened to the last podcast on the left?
I've heard of it actually.
It's
haven't listened to it.
crime and comedy.
Okay, that's a good mix.
I was listening to it coming all the way over
That's
here.
the thing. I love true crime stuff, but in documentary form, not audio form. Visual. Okay. I guess you can do a documentary in audio version as well.
I get what you're saying.
But like Netflix, Making a Murderer, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm totally in. But I haven't really gotten onto the train of audio true crime podcasts yet.
No Serial for you?
Not yet.
Seriously, Serial was like
What's
like the gateway podcast. Everybody started with Serial. I did, and every time I'm trying to convert a person to podcast because in Brazil it's just gotten big.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years ago, nobody.
Who's
listened to podcasts.
Do you listen to Dax Shepard's podcast?
No.
Armchair Expert.
Is he funny?
He's actually an actor.
I know him.
You know him. Okay, yeah.
But I don't think he's funny. That's why I'm asking.
No. It's more of he's really in tune with himself. Like he's really into his feelings. Like he's more
like
of
in a Russell Brand kind of way. Because that's not cute.
No. Russell Brand's a little bit too much for me.
I used to be like way into Russell Brand, and then I was like, no, he's too brandy enough.
I forgot. Maybe it was the second last time he was on the Rogan podcast. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this guy anymore. But the Dax Shepard one, it's great. Like because I don't really listen to other podcasts that have celebrities on like that. That actually get as in depth as he does. He just has this way of making them feel comfortable and opening them up about their like childhood and how they feel about certain things. There is a little bit of comedy in it, but mostly it's more so like a real one-on-one conversation.
What I try to do with non-famous people.
It's a great podcast, but he actually talked about a podcast I listened to about the Black Dahlia.
I loved it. Root of Evil.
Yes.
So
that's
good.
on my podcast list to listen. I will listen to that one.
So good. It's probably my favorite true crime one because it's not true crime. Like it's about the Black Dahlia, but like everybody's heard of I was so over the Black Dahlia.
That's so like, 1999.
Oh, it's been done. If Josh Hartnett touched it,
Yeah.
it's been done.
It's been
over.
done.
It should die in 2000.
Oh my God.
But it's a family thing.
Mhm.
So it's a lot about feelings. It's very emotional. It's dark as shit.
I don't mind
So
that.
be prepared. 'cause
I don't
it's
mind
like,
that. I find a weird fascination with that. I don't know. I swear I'm not a weird or bad person, but I find it
a
like
fascination with it. So it's kind of like I
anytime
am a
there's
weird and bad person though. Harmless,
harmless on the outside,
but weird.
Just go through the timeline a bit, and then you'll see it from there. Let's get back to MMA shit.
MMA. Sorry.
So you got into the business. At what point did you actually feel like, okay, this is where I want to be? This is the industry that I want to be in, or do you not feel like that yet? Like
no, I knew it from the start. So that's because that's the thing about MMA. Like I did not want to be a journalist, but I wanted to be in MMA.
You didn't know what exactly.
I
though.
didn't know what exactly.
That's kind of where I've been in the last 10 years.
Just like every job I had ended up being like that after college because I went to. So I was doing the internship and they pulled me directly to the sports section.
Okay.
Because you asked me about soccer.
Yes.
That's how it happened.
Yes.
Because they pulled me to do sports exclusively. And we had this big, it was like an 8-page segment that we had to get out. It was a lot of stuff and not enough people. And I wrote long. I've always been wordy. So they were like, just you do.
do you
get
boo-boo.
3 pages.
Do you, boo-boo.
Do you, boo. 3 pages. We just need to like fill them up. And I'd be like, yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what's happening, but I will. And I wrote everything, including soccer.
Nice.
And I did a lot of the human interest stories.
Okay.
The actual editor came back, and he's amazing. He's very good friends with me to this day. And he really liked my sensitive touch in a non-sexist way. He's super gay, so he's allowed. He's allowed to say that.
Interesting.
So he would let me just do my thing, and then I just fell in love with MMA. And then after that, I was kind of like, I need to be around it. I had jobs that weren't necessarily in MMA, but I had the MMA Brazil thing. Even after I broke up with my ex, like I still would write and be part of the website. So
it wasn't like bad terms or anything like that. Just enough to stick around on the website, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. We're good. At the time, no, but he wanted me around. So
yeah.
I would do stuff for the website, mostly just to be around MMA. But I never really lost touch with it, even when I wasn't working directly with it. And then came the opportunity I started doing PR for a small company. We did a brand, Praetorian. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes. Roy Nelson was sponsored by that, I remember.
Which was random, but yes.
I remember Jose Aldo used to have it.
Big Nog.
Yes.
And I worked a lot with Big Nog.
It seemed like Novo and Yao guys were really with that brand.
A lot of people in Brazil. Yeah. But they had money.
What was that brand though? I never knew what the brand was. I'm like, Pretoria.
Money laundering scheme. Very big. Everyone's behind Mars now. I somehow escaped.
Yeah,
but
what was it?
That's why I'm in Canada.
Trying to escape the feds. That's all.
Just don't tell me. No, so it was a fightwear brand.
Okay.
But they wanted to be like a lifestyle kind of thing. So it started with equipment, like gloves and things like that. But they wanted it to be like, they had a fancy office and I don't know. The
funny thing is I've never seen any of their gloves. Nothing. It was only on like Barrow's butt. That's about it.
They sold it a lot in Brazil. For a while, it was very common to find.
Roy Nelson was an interesting...
It was random. It was random, but they had money, and sometimes they got in touch with the right people. And a lot of it had to do with my boss because he knew people in MMA.
Okay.
My boss at the time, interesting fellow.
Should we leave it at that, or should we dig into that a bit?
Let's just not
leave that one closed. Okay. Maybe next time, whenever you're back up in Toronto.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a separate podcast. But no, he had content, so that's Praetorian. But I ended up working a lot with. Closely with fighters, and Big Nog is one guy that to this day
legend.
He's like a giant teddy bear.
I've shook his hand once when he was in Toronto. That was
he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
A pretty banged up teddy bear, but
banged up teddy bear. Wait, Big Nog?
Yeah,
Big Nog. Okay, yeah. I believe he's the one with the scar on his back.
Yes,
you're right.
Lovely. Little Nog too, but he actually got me laid once, but that's another story.
Big Nog or Low Nog?
Yeah, there was a guy who I was like flirting with, and he loved Big Nog. And he was like really starstruck when he saw Big Nog. So he's like, "Oh, that's Big Nog right there." And I was like, "Yeah, do you want to talk to him?" He's like, "Oh my God, you know Big Nog?" Yeah,
it's my homie.
That's kind of what I said. What? We're close.
Yeah.
But I just like Rodrigo, which is Big Nog's real name. Say hi to my friend, and then he was like, "Oh," he calls me Fernandinho, which is like the diminutive form for Fernando.
I find that's like the nickname for a lot of like they add the Inya at the end.
Yeah, it's like little
Lavinia,
like,
Souza.
He's like the one person who called me little. Big gal.
Yeah.
That's why I like hanging out with heavyweights.
True. Makes sense.
But no, he's just like, "Oh, Fernandinho, sure." And then like they talked and took a selfie together.
They didn't even ask you to take the picture for them?
No, they took a selfie. And then they were talking, and then Rodrigo's like, "How long have we known each other?" I'm like, "I don't know, like 8 years."
You still keep in touch with him?
Oh, the guy who got laid.
I'm sure that was just a one and done.
The guy I slept with was one and done.
That's it. Next.
One and done.
I'm talking about
night though. If you're listening, you know who you are.
Wink, wink. You get the stamp of approval.
It was cool. Big Nog. We only like talk to each other at events and things like that because he's working for UFC Brazil now.
Oh, interesting. I know. Is it Verdum that's doing the commentating for them still? Oh no, wait. I think he's actually gone from UFC,
was,
right?
UFC Espanol. It was something else. Yeah, he mostly did it for them. I'm not sure if he's still doing it. I did run into him at an event recently. Don't remember which one. Maybe São Paulo or something else. And I think it was there for a broadcasting thing, but I do not know. It's UFC Espanol. We don't get it.
But what does Big Nog exactly do for the UFC?
He works as like an ambassador, but he also like finds new talent.
Okay. Like from
Brazil.
From Brazil, particularly. I know they're doing the Contender Series Brazil. I'm not sure if that's still happening. They did one season of that last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Do you know if they're still doing that?
They were doing more, but it was weird because it was like Contender Series Brazil in Vegas.
Yeah, that was the weird part about it. Because they have it, or I'm not sure if they still have it. Because remember when they did the Sonnen and Vanderlei Ultimate Fighter, they had a gym down there, right?
Yeah, they had the Tough Gym.
Is it still around? Probably not.
Think so.
I haven't heard.
I used to work when I did PR. Tough was my product.
Oh, cool.
So that's why I got close to like the tough guys, like Thiago Santos and Warley Alves.
I'm trying to remember who else was on that.
In terms of coaches, or
there was multiple seasons of it, right? So you're doing you did all of the seasons,
I did,
or
all of them? Yes. I was closer to I think maybe second and third, which were the Vanderlei Sonnen one. There was Verdum and Big Nog.
Yep.
There was
Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin, right? Was that one of them? Or no, that was the Latin American one. Yeah. That was the Latin American one. Sorry.
And that was recent.
Yeah, that's true. And
when I did the Mexico event, I think they were there. No, I was not involved with that. There was one that Anderson started, but like the whole doping thing happened, and he
had to pull out of it.
And then the Nog brothers stepped in. I barely remember. The first one was Vanderlei and Vitor.
Yeah, and I think that was Vitor actually pulled out of the fight because they're scheduled to fight, right? Rich Franklin, yeah, UFC 199.
Yeah,
I remember that one. I was kind of sad when Vanderlei lost that one.
That's the thing. I don't even remember the fights in these situations because I was working so much. I didn't.
I'm a huge nerd of MMA, but that card was a little bit lackluster.
It sucked. What was they co-main? I don't even remember.
Verdum and Mike Russell.
Oh, remember that? So random. Oh my god,
that was so random, right? And then they had the Ultimate Fighter finale fights on that too.
Yeah, which was Tony Jason.
Yes.
Godofredo Pepe.
Yes.
Who did they? No, so they fought each other, and then Sergio Moraes.
Cesar Ferreira.
No, he was supposed to fight Mutanchi, but Mutanchi had to pull out. He was the substitute. So it was Serginho and
I can fact check that right.
Sarafia.
Oh yeah, Daniel Sarafin. Yeah. You're right.
I think that's what happened.
I wish that guy was still around in the UFC too, because he was super entertaining, super
he's
fun.
doing great though.
What's he up to?
He became like a personal trainer for celebrities.
Actually, yes. Who was it? Somebody, one of the podcasts I was listening to, they're like, Serafian is like sparring with some like celebrity. I think Snoop Dogg.
Really?
He was sparring with Snoop Dogg. Yeah, he was training Snoop or something like that.
Yeah, when I interviewed him, he was like, "Oh, I'm in."
This was recently.
Recently, like,
Okay.
well, it was still a junkie, but like 1 year ago or so, not that long.
Is he retired?
No, he had just fought for ACB or something, and he had like moved up to, I don't know, light heavyweight. He was fighting
he's a
lot
thick boy
heavier.
with a
He's a
double
thick boy.
C.
He's a big boy, but he suffered. He suffered to make middleweight, and everybody was like, "You're too small for middleweight," and they made him like go to welter, and he was just like miserable.
I had to chop off a leg to get that weight.
He was miserable. He made it, but he was miserable. And then he
seemed like a guy that could have been very marketable down in Brazil.
He was, but that's the thing. He just wasn't winning enough fights, you know. So
he had an entertaining style. He looks good.
Was it? I mean, oh yeah, it's fine, but like there wasn't anything extraordinary about the way that he fought.
True.
He was marketable in that like he looked cute or whatever. I hate saying this about fighters, but like
I think he looked cute. I'll say it. Shit. His eyes, I get lost in his eyes all the time.
I just stay away from it because I'm like, I just think it's like I don't want to like anybody to come after me because I keep telling people to not judge fighters by looks.
For sure.
I'm always like,
I know all about that. It's cool.
I don't see face.
See fighter. That's it.
I see fighter. But yeah, I guess
or human.
He
whatever.
has the look, the marketable look. And he's such a nice guy. Like the nicest person. But yeah, he was when I interviewed him, he had moved up and he was talking about how much happier he was.
I think he's in LA now, right?
And
like,
he was in LA. He had just gone there. And he said, "Oh, I'm like doing like personal fighting training for celebrities." And but he was like, "I can't tell you which ones because I signed like
confidential." Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, so that's how you know you made it big."
Those NDAs, they gotta throw those in there. I think the Snoop one was more so common knowledge. Like
probably.
it was like a video that was out there, right?
He literally didn't tell me. It wasn't even like it's off the record.
Not even that.
No, he was like, "I will not tell you which one." Okay,
Damn.
I'll live.
Good for him though. Like,
but he was happy.
I love seeing fighters that are able to transition into something else after fighting or even during fighting. I mean, like the biggest example of a guy making it big is Brendan Schaub. Like he's the biggest case right now. Like there's been a lot of fighters that were trying to follow that route after. I remember Frank Mir had his own podcast with
he doesn't have
something
it anymore?
Hunter. Richard Hunter. Yeah. I don't know if it's around. Like I haven't seen it pop up or anything. Phone booth fighting.
I remember it, but I didn't know it was over. I think it's not. I mean,
I might be wrong. I might be talking shit right now.
Like I said, I don't really listen to a lot of MMA podcasts.
Yeah, that's true crimes. I forgot about that.
No, I listen to a few, but like
yeah.
I think the only one that I actually listen to every week is a co-main.
I love those guys.
I
was
don't
a
tell
huge.
Ben.
No, I gotta do this, Ben.
I cannot admit that.
I'm not gonna lie.
I love Ben and Chad.
My top two journalists that I really started to follow. I'm sorry.
Ego,
I'm gonna do this.
Ego.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this. No. When I first got into MMA, the top two journalists, Ariel Helwani, Ben Folks.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry. I know that hurts, but I love Ben. I saw him at UFC 129. He was at the gym for the open workouts.
Yeah.
And I was starstruck.
No. His ego.
I'm like, oh my God, that's Ben Folks.
Been fat enough. Don't do it.
I don't know.
I just feeding the beast.
I remember he used to do MMA Junkie, the speed bag, where he would just do quick topics. Yeah. And I found them hilarious. He was so
Ben.
good.
I love Ben now as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not like best friends, but we talk a lot. And when we left Junkie together, and like he's an amazing human being.
He's awesome. Like I love the comment. I love the chemistry they have together too. Chad and him,
so good,
freaking awesome.
And he was a guy that I really admired. I really like his style of writing. I think it's like mine is like it's close to mine. I don't want to compare myself to him because it's like
stroke that ego, stroke that ego.
No, mine in this case. But there was one time our editor was Dan was reading something and it's like, oh, for a few seconds I thought I was reading a Ben piece and I was like, you just compliment ever.
Is there when you did get into the MMA writing game? Is there anybody that like I'm not going to shout out Ben here, but is there anybody that you tried to look to for inspiration or somebody that you kind of wanted to, okay, I want to write like this guy or I want to write like this woman or something like that? It was Ben?
Because I
from the
like
get-go.
Opinion.
The opinion of it. Okay.
Yeah, that's my thing, my jam. I love Tom Jabasi.
He's an OG.
And he's
OG.
the nicest person.
Yeah.
And I used to like when I did PR, he was my encyclopedia. So if I needed to
I think he even wrote an encyclopedia, right?
He wrote an actual encyclopedia.
I think I have that sitting in one of my closets. I do too.
And the guy who translated it, Martin, he's the Brazilian encyclopedia.
Interesting.
So I would go to Martin first and then him.
Is who's the main Brazilian translator for the UFC? Is that Martin?
No. He doesn't do cameras, things like that.
You know who I'm talking about?
Derek Lee.
Probably. That's his name?
The really young one?
Kind of young, yeah. Like, he's pretty much doing all the Brazilian translations in Cage.
Derek Lee.
Derek Lee. Not the kind... I'm not trying to judge anybody. It's not the name that I was kind of thinking that I was going to get.
He's half American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best translators, bar none.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
We kind of like... we're good friends. He's
okay.
awesome, yeah. He's about my age. He looks very young, but he's
baby him, Mike Bond, the youngest looking guys in MMA media.
Mike Bond is young. When I joined MMA Junkie, he was younger than me. I was like, this is an out. I need to talk. I need to speak to someone about this. This is outrageous.
I actually went to there was a GSP meet and greet in Toronto, and that's where I met him the first time as well. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Mike Bond from MMA Junkie. What the fuck? Like one of the guys that I knew was running the show. He goes, yeah, we're going to have Mike Bond. And I'm like, sick. I don't know. I think he's a cool guy. I'm just such awesome, a nerd.
But we're friends.
I know. You don't want to stroke his ego either. I get it.
Yes.
I think he's still with Junkie, right? Like, he's still with Junkie.
There. Yeah.
The stats guy
Mike
over
is
there.
awesome. And working with him was just kind of like he made everyone look bad. Mike, take a fucking vacation.
It's one of the industries there where even if you guys work for different outlets, it still seems like everybody's like coworkers. You know what I mean? Like you guys are peers, essentially.
If you're having good relationships with everyone.
Is there MMA media drama?
Not that I'm part of.
No?
There is, I think, on Twitter. Not MMA media. I see more like Twitter people. Like I just sometimes lose track of it. I see like, whoa, there's beef.
Who's a fucking media member now, right?
Beef.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. But in terms of just MMA media, like I don't really recall. I've never had any problems with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might have had a problem with me, but
fuck them.
Sorry, whatever it is that I did. In general, like
I personally love the way that you carry yourself within the MMA realm, just because you know that like it's unfortunate, but like women kind of are looked down upon in the industry. But you're just like, fuck them. Like, I'm going to go out there, do what I want to do. And your work shows it, though. Like, you put the quality into your work, which is why you deserve where you're at. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to jack you off over here or anything like that. But there's a Kleenex there, by the way. Yeah, there you go. I know you like to cry at the end of your podcast, so it's right there.
Yes. Very heavy.
No, but there's not that many females that I can remember that I've been around much. Even when I was working with the UFC back in 2011, even working with the UFC, there's Heidi Dean.
I think that within the UFC there were more women. I worked with
There's Karen Bell, who was head of PR.
There was Karen Bell, and she did a lot of Brazil, so I worked with her a lot.
She was great.
And Isabel.
Oh, okay.
No, she was fine.
She was great to me. Let's just put it that way. She gave me hope that I would potentially get a job there.
She was always nice. Isabel Hodge, who was awesome, loved her. Heidi Dean, Heidi Gerber. Carolyn. In the UK office, they had a few women too. So
Carolyn's awesome. She always hooked me up with tickets after.
Yeah,
she really always hooked me up with tickets.
And like in Brazil, you have Anaísa, who is like the biggest MMA reporter in Brazil is Anna. Anaísa.
How do you spell her name? I feel like I should know this person.
She has like 100,000
Anna.
HISSA. See, she shows up right there, famous.
I don't think I've ever seen her before.
She's big in Brazil.
Okay, we'll keep it at that. Did she work for like a network down there or something? Or
yeah, so I filled it. So when I worked for Combate and Sport TV too. And when she was working in Vegas as a correspondent, I filled it for her. Like they invited me to fill her spot because she was there for 2 years. So but when I did PR, I worked together with her and everything. She's a force.
Yeah.
Like, it would annoy the fuck out of me doing PR because she's like relentless.
Yeah.
But she's really good. And then there's Evie Rodriguez.
Haven't heard of her.
She,
but again, this is more Brazil.
She's
right?
now the correspondent,
Okay.
but she was already working for Combati and doing things like that. She's based out of Vegas.
Okay.
And they're amazing. So it's like, it wasn't like I was the only one in my like immediate vicinity of women, but like you would go to a media event, you look around, and it was me and Anna and maybe PR people, but
men
covering,
yeah.
having opinions, and that's what you mentioned the Esther episode, and that's what we talked about. Like,
and that was back when this was pre-Ronda, so there wasn't even women in the UFC, right?
Yeah, when we started, no.
Yeah. How would you say the coverage in Brazil has changed since UFC 134 to now? More or less?
It lost steam.
Yeah.
For sure, because like I always say that in Brazil, not just me, but everybody else, like we like soccer and whatever else is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like
whatever else is winning.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So whatever else like has champions at the time, that's what we're into.
There was a lot of Brazilian champions back then.
It was huge.
Yeah.
For a while, like there was GDS and Anderson and Aldo, and like you know, you could take your pick. But Anderson was really big.
Would you say he's the
big difference
by bar none biggest star? Anderson
in terms of MMA in Brazil, yeah. But Vitor Belfort is a close second.
Yeah, that must have been a huge fight, and unfortunately, they did it in Vegas. Like I thought that was a bad move on the UFC's part.
But I mean, they made money regardless.
They made money regardless. Actually, that was even before they came to Brazil because that was UFC 126.
Yeah. It was when I first was just getting into it. It was one of my first like fights that I was really
Do you recall like the vibe in Brazil when that fight was going down or leading up to that fight?
No, really. I was really like, so I watched this one, I remember, with that ex who was really
this guy keeps coming up
because it's like my beginning. He takes credit for it often. Like whenever I publish something, he's like, "Oh, I discovered her."
So should I just put like when I had titled this video, put your name, put a little asterisk, and then put his name down there?
Very pleased. That's very awesome. Pleased. No, yeah, and we watched it together. But I was just really getting into it. I think the first fight that I like. The first event that I bought was UFC 100.
Oh, July 2009.
Was the first one that I purchased.
Okay. Was there something on the card, or was it just the fact that it was UFC 100?
I was just starting to get into it, and I was so my first obsession, like I said, was Lyoto.
Yeah. R.I.P. to that.
With Lyoto Machida, who I got a chance to work with very closely. Total gentleman.
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
He's the nicest person you meet. Very, very polite, nice.
I worked with him a little bit when he fought Jones because I was in Toronto.
Yeah.
And that's when I was doing the PR for the UFC.
Too bad that happened.
Yeah, unfortunate. And you know what else was that night?
Killed Dad.
Do you remember what else was that night?
I do not remember.
Another favorite of yours unfortunately took an L that night.
Ooh.
Mr. Big Nog.
Ooh.
Against Frank Mir.
Those, though.
But the Frank Mir one was tough.
Your first beer, and I had like half.
I'm getting there.
Bottle of wine.
Hey, the wine. You know what?
I'm sorry. Well, the beer has like, it's gassy, so it will fill you up. That's my excuse.
Let me crack number 2 for you. Let me get on your page. I even got the whiskey down here just in case.
Oh, wow.
Like I got a little bit for everybody. Lyoto is awesome.
Lyoto was I was so obsessed with Lyoto because I thought he was like the coolest, and I loved his style. And
he had this aura about him because he was just on the up and up when I really got into it too. I remember him knocking out Rashad. That was insane.
My first one that I was like really into was him and Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva was huge too. I love Thiago. I'll bleep that out.
But as he did some bad shit.
Very bad shit.
Very bad shit. But that was after. In person, he was always
awesome.
Nice. Yeah. He was always nice. But yeah, that whole fucking shit happened.
I loved let's talk about before that.
Fighting.
His style was great. Just him aesthetically.
It was just
That's a fucking fighter.
And they were both like undefeated at the time.
Yes.
That was like a fight between prospects to decide who was going to be the next challenger, to decide who was going to be the next best thing. I remember like being at a friend's house and nobody liked MMA, and I was like trying to find like an illegal like stream and just like just super into it. And I think that's the fight that sticks out to me as the fight that I was really like excited about. And then after that, and then I bought UFC 100 and things evolved
escalated
from there. Yeah. Things escalated very quickly. Here we are now.
You're in a basement in freaking Toronto.
After you're taking a bus and a train and whatever.
Potentially getting kidnapped, but doesn't know it yet.
But I mean, there's evidence.
There's evidence
so
that she was here.
Treat me kindly.
Hey, this is probably never going to reach the internet. Just so you know. This was my ruse.
Somebody will find this.
Me, my fiance, and our dog.
And it will become a podcast.
This will be a true crime podcast.
They treat me humanely. Because usually they humanize.
I was thinking the nose first, and then go for the cheeks, and then we'll figure out from there.
Put a lot of thought into it.
I really liked Leatherface when I was like, you remember that? Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Please do me first, and then...
Then do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly. Free reign. But I'm an organ donor. So if you could just save that.
Okay.
I would like to save lives.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
My kidney is usable, I think. Okay,
one guy I wanted to ask, Shogun or Machida, who had a bigger impact in Brazil? Because those two guys around that time were freaking huge.
I think Machida gained more mainstream traction for a while. Because he was such an intriguing character, right?
Yes.
Like karate people thought about Karate Kid.
Yes, exactly. Coming out in the gi and all that type of stuff.
Exactly. I wrote my thesis on MMA.
Kimono
we call it kimono in Brazil.
Okay, sorry.
But it's whatever. I don't know if
because kimono is karate, right? And then gi is more jiu-jitsu.
We call everything kimono.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
kimono.
For us, it's
I'll call it kimono
the
from now on.
word gi doesn't exist for us.
Interesting. Is that more of an American slang or something? Where did that even come from?
No idea.
Come on, journalist, get your shit together.
I need my computer. But so he had he was on the cover of Rolling Stone Brazil.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was one of those characters that really intrigued people. And I did my thesis on MMA when I graduated from college.
I did a presentation on MMA in college as well. Don't worry.
And I was like, nobody I went to this very nerdy, serious school where they did very intellectual studies about intellectual things. Okay. I thought about going into academia because it was it was very much their speed.
Yeah.
So when I decided to do that, I was like, fuck, this is gonna suck. Nobody was gonna want to do anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But the biggest brain in the school, when you saw Drega, who was worshipped as this huge intellect, super intimidating. And you had to present your thesis to him before you went through with it. So I was prepared, I had this big folder. I was
oh my God.
I will explain this in a way that he understands. So it's I wanted to do this about...
Me swallow my pride for a second.
What? MMA, okay? People beating each other up in cages.
Yes.
And he just looked at me as oh, that's interesting.
Wow. Lucky you.
Lyoto Machida. And I'm like, what the fuck do you know Lyoto?
You're in.
And it's I trained karate my entire life.
Wow.
I was
you're so lucky there.
I looked up. I left the meeting
Killed it. Nailed
it. But so Lyoto was, I think, in the mainstream way for a while, bigger than Shogun. But among the actual fans, and now that you look at it, I think Shogun has more of a lasting legacy in a way.
With the whole pride thing and UFC champion. They're both UFC champions, actually. Yeah. I don't know what it was. I just had such an attachment to Shogun. One of my tattoos, it's not of Shogun. I'm not saying that. You have a
Shogun.
The same space.
I would need to send it to him. I would need to photograph it.
I want you to take a picture of me like this and send it to Shogun and be like, this is your biggest Indian fan.
Then I will get his reaction.
Please, that would mean the world to me. I might shit my pants if you do that.
I would love to see that. Then you're going to have to film that.
That would be awesome.
This is just going to be an Inception, a Ryan Gosling, Macaulay Culkin situation.
If somehow me and Shogun end up best friends after this, I might have to owe you my life. Just saying that. Step Brothers.
I'll just take your dog. You can have your life.
Perfect trade-off.
Oh my God.
Perfect trade-off.
Love it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Like, I don't know what he has tattooed. I think it's something to do with Jesus or something. Tattooed on the inside of Queen Mary or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, that's a cool place to get a tattoo. So I got a tattoo there too. Another one, Vanderlei Silva has a tattoo here.
Yeah.
I got tattoos here too.
What does he have? I forgot. There's something written, right?
Dos, I don't know. It's something in Portuguese, I think it
Yeah.
is. Something religious, probably. I don't know. The fascination that there's a lot of Brazilian fighters that have a huge fascination
Brazil
with
is a religious country.
Honey Marks.
Thanks, God.
And then he got Warrior of God as well on his chest. The Thanks God, though, is probably the best tattoo of all time. I would love to have seen your reaction the first time you ever saw that tattoo.
It was probably the one I'm having right now. I'm pretty sure it did not change that much. He's also a very nice guy.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not trying to like shit on the guy or anything like that.
No, we can shit on his tattoo, which is not true.
Everybody has a bad tattoo, you know what I mean? I have my roommate's thing stuff on my leg too. What do you got?
I have
what is that?
So I got a tattoo. It says it's supposed to say
Oh no.
square peg.
Square peg.
Yeah, like okay, it's a thing about being a misfit.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Oh, okay.
But it has roots in something like out of my childhood because we would have the square peg round hole type thing.
Okay.
And my mom said I would always like
you would
try
never
to fit the
fit.
wrong. And she's like but she was like you would throw a fit and throw things around. You get really angry when things didn't fit. Instead of just like
wait, it's a square peg in Portuguese or in English?
In English.
Interesting.
And nobody understands it in either language. So it's just kind of like it's the worst tattoo ever. But how I got it, 5 a.m. after a UFC in São Paulo, one of the guys from the British team had a machine.
No way.
This is
Are
my
you kidding me?
first
Is this
tattoo
Aunt
ever.
Evans? Is this Aunt Evans?
No.
No.
And Evans now are cool now, but at the time, I think he did not like
Really?
me. I don't think he remembers me.
He's awesome.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't it was an actual guy who is a tattoo artist now. But at the time, he was really bad at it.
Wow.
Hated.
Is that your only tattoo?
No, I have plenty. It's because I'm all covered up.
Oh, true.
I have RoboCop, the Terminator.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
My calves. I have a big one here. I have about here.
Holy
Back
crap.
there. I have a few.
You do, I don't think I've ever put tattoos on you together ever.
Really?
I don't think you've ever put out anything that has a picture of you and your tattoos.
See, that's how I'm relieved you're not an actual stalker.
Because there
Instagram.
There are? Okay. No, I don't mess with Instagram often. I'm still
okay,
like,
see.
I'm living in like 2009 still.
Yeah,
but
in my Instagram, they're all there.
it's all tattoos.
Yeah.
I have 1, 2. I'm a very family oriented person.
Okay.
So I have my parents'
the
names
opposite of me.
in Punjabi, which is my native language.
That's adorable.
On my chest, I have this here, which is I got a little qualm with you because you actually said something about this in your last podcast or the podcast before that.
Your last name tattoo.
But you said on your back, or over your tummy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I guess I get a little bit of a pass.
Fine.
I got it on the inside of my arm.
Yeah. My ex-boyfriend has the same.
Okay.
The last name of his family.
Yeah.
On the inside of his mom. I mock him for it. So.
And then when I moved out of college, me and my college roommates all got our house address tattooed on our leg.
Aw, that's cute.
So it's just more personal things for me. Like I have to sit on a tattoo idea for at least a year before I'm like, I'm gonna do it. But you got fucking RoboCop, whatever the fuck.
Terminator.
I don't know.
Amazing tattoos.
That's a little bit before my generation.
I'm 30.
Actually, yeah, I'm a year younger than you actually. So
why is everybody so young?
It's so exhausting. At least I'm not. Actually, Mike Bond's older than me.
No, he's probably your age.
Touche.
Yeah,
Touche.
he's 29, I think.
Like my brother used to watch RoboCop. He's like 7 years older than me.
Yeah.
So
it was not my generation either. It's very confusing to people.
But yeah, like you're saying, when you were watching English stuff, it was like from back in the day. That was SNL actually, right? That's exactly what it was.
Shit. And then I got like way into like 90s action movies. I'm just glad I didn't get Stallone Cobra tattooed here.
You were thinking about
that?
really
close. Yeah.
Are you
only
kidding
have a
me?
sugar
Oh shit!
skull.
What is that? Oh,
It's just a sugar skull.
that's cool.
That was
You are tatted the fuck up, lady.
I have my fingers, but this one makes me feel like a flat earther.
What does that say? Something everything.
It says question everything.
Did you say like a flat earther?
I feel like a flat earther now. At the time, it was like an homage to George Carlin. I felt really edgy and cool.
Interesting.
Because he had a sketch. He would talk about like teaching your kids to question everything and things like that, and way intellectual.
Interesting.
And now it's kind of like a person who would go on the Joe Rogan podcast and
Touche.
talk about
Eddie Bravo style.
Yeah, that's somebody who questions everything. I do not identify
Look into
myself.
it. Look into it, Fernanda. Look into it. All right.
Don't be a sheep.
Sheeple.
Think for yourself.
That's awesome.
I'm getting this one covered.
You're gonna go over it, really?
It's gonna go over it. Yeah.
Actually, I lied. I have one more tattoo. Me and my fiance got matching tattoos.
That's scary, but
Let me.
cute. If it's not each other's names, that's fine.
No. If you've ever heard of Katana Comics, it's an Instagram account.
Okay.
Where they have these like little characters, and every day she releases like a comic strip of them, and it's like super relatable stuff for couples.
Aww.
So it's like just random stuff like this.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm very single.
So maybe you should follow it and you'll get some.
No, I'm good.
But yeah, I got the guy tattooed on me with a heart.
Aww.
And she got a girl tattooed. Like they're kind of facing each other. She got it on her tricep. I got it on my inner back.
Oh, that's
I want it to be for me. Like these tattoos are more so for me than to like show off to people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to like put it on the inside of my body rather than not the inside, but like on my lower back.
So
that sounds really fucked up.
So I got my kidney tattooed. It's like
I got it tattooed on my kidney and put it back in.
It's just very groundbreaking technology, but I found the guy who did it.
But yeah, that's the matching tattoo that we got.
It's so cute though.
I know.
I have matching tattoos with my sister.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What did you guys get?
We have like 2 hearts. It's like very old school and it says "Stay strong."
Okay. You're very a motivational woman. Like you like, okay, I gotta question this shit.
You said personal things. And I actually have written things here, like a Juno Diaz tattoo here and a Patty Smith tattoo here. But it's 2 hearts that say strong.
Juno Diaz, actually, I think that's a tattoo that Vanderlei has on his thing here. I actually have his figurine up there. He's the one with the title on it. If you want to pull that down, you're more than welcome to look at it.
What does it say? The same?
It's something.
Am I allowed to
Go for it. Just go for it.
Am I allowed
Yeah, just take it.
to touch this?
Go for it.
I
Play with it all you want. There you go. You got the same one? Nick Diaz?
I only have 2, and it's gotta be red.
Wow, that's
Nick
awesome.
Diaz and Michael Bisping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, met Michael, so that's ruined, but Michael is fun.
What does it say on his...
God is faithful.
Okay.
True. Deus é fiel. Deus is God.
Okay. Deus. Got it. Yeah. I was working a cubicle job, and I'm like, I need to decorate my office a little bit more, so I got them. Put it around.
God, they have like this... They're
Everything.
very faithful.
Yeah. They got everything on
it's like all Bible. No, this is like President and Zufa Limited.
I think it was a company called 5 Rounds. They were actually based out of Toronto that did all these figurines.
Oh my God, they got all the details.
Even the Shogun one. They got the inner arm tattoo. They got everything. Ben Henderson.
This has like a bunch. And they got it like super tiny handwriting. Very advanced technology. Mesmerized by this.
Even the Ben Henderson one, he has the wings tattoo on his back.
Oh, but the wings are...
I guess it's easier to do. Yeah.
Okay, Shogun looks nothing like that. This is not...
No.
No.
But I'm like, hey, it's Shogun. The first 2 were Shogun and Vanderlei. I'm like, I need those 2.
Okay, next time I'm around Shogun, I'm going to have him like record a message to you.
You would... I would, like I said, I would probably shit myself immediately.
Let's avoid that. Maybe not. He's a regular person.
I don't know what it is. I just had like when I got into MMA, he was the guy that I was like so behind. I mean, I don't know what my attraction is to him, but I just find him fun to watch as a fighter.
But I feel like he has that effect on people.
Yeah,
because I think that he's one of those guys that like. He has that intangible thing that you're just drawn to him.
Yeah, he seems super likable.
He's just a very nice person.
I'm not trying to talk negatively about him at all or anything, but one thing that I have heard in the past is that he was never super committed to fighting as like a person that was like it was always tough to get him to cut weight or stay on a diet or anything like that. Realistically, he could probably fought at 185. I mean, it seemed like he had that body frame that he could actually get down to 185 if he wanted to. Is that kind of something that's been going around Brazil? Like, is that the word?
That was the word that at the time, like, he was the guy who would love to just like spar and like go ape shit, but he he wasn't that interested in like strength and conditioning.
No, it's just his heart, his will, his viciousness, pretty much, if that's even a word.
Like, it's what I always heard, but you know, there comes a point where you have to just be an athlete or you're not going to do it.
But he still reached the pinnacle of the sport.
He's surrounded like by all the right people.
Yeah.
I think that helps. He's close with Damien, so he goes to Damien's team to train, and Damien's got like insane work ethic.
That's another guy I love as well.
Damien is amazing.
Awesome. He was a journalist himself or something, wasn't he?
He graduated. He got his degree.
Did you guys go to the same school?
No, he was in Sao Paulo, and he's older than me.
Yeah.
Like 10 years older than me.
Such a dumb question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Brazil, we all know each other.
Yeah, same shit. Sao Paulo, Rio, same shit, right?
But his manager, who's also my friend, went to school for journalism, and they didn't go together.
Okay.
And I asked him the same question. So
isn't that the Shogun's manager as well? Alonso?
Yes.
Eduardo Alonso.
Yeah.
That's what it was. No, that I remember seeing that. And there was a little bit of a stretch where he was without Shogun. I remember we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I think that's when Shogun moved to Cali, right? Didn't he move to America for a bit?
I don't know if he moved. He was training at King's, right?
Yes, he was with Cordero.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was with Eduardo for some of that time.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very family-oriented guy.
Seems like it.
So yeah,
he seems to be on
his family in the south of Brazil.
He seems to be a little bit on his last legs in the sense of, I think he promised his wife maybe 1 or 2 more fights.
Oh yeah, he was joking about that at the press conference.
Yeah. Wait, that's a joke.
No, I think it's true, but he was making a joke. It was like, I think I'm going to have to take her to Paris.
Yeah.
To convince her to get another fight.
Yeah.
I think he's probably at that stage of his life. And like, we're not close as friends, but
I got his number. That's it. Let me pop that up.
Shogun, you're live. Yeah. Say hi, bro. What are you up to? Damn.
What's the diggity?
No, so I think that he is about to. I think he's at that point where people around him are probably like trying to get him
out of there
to quit.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like, and I actually wrote a story about that.
Yeah.
Like fighter retirements, just talking about how unfair it is that we expect people to retire at the time when we decide they should retire.
Yeah.
He's done this his entire life.
Yeah, he's 38 now. That's kind of what I wanted to look at as his age, because he's been around freaking forever.
He 38 now. It's not old.
Yeah.
Not anymore for a fighter. I think like 35 is a good age to be a fighter.
But he's kind of lucky where he's in the division where being older is not that bad.
Because it's a shitty division.
Light heavyweight and heavyweight. You can be freaking 45 and make a title run if you want.
Light heavyweight was like the best division.
The shit? Yeah.
And it's like
Lyoto, Jones, Shogun. This was even before Daniel Cormier came over.
Exactly. Like he was the shit.
Thiago Silva, Rashad Evans. That was like prime time. That was the golden age of the light heavyweight division. Yeah. And then Jones came in and just wrecked everybody. And it was like, now we're just like, who's left?
Rampage. And, you know, Rashad, like all those guys, you know, like, oh, they're all amazing. And then Jones just like ripped through them. And you're like, oh, okay.
I was actually at the fight where he beat Shogun. I went down to New Jersey for that fight.
Jones?
Yeah. And I was the only Shogun fan in the stands because it was close to John Jones' neck of the woods. It wasn't legal in New York yet, which is why they did it in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And which is why he fought in Toronto so often, because it was so close to New York, right? Yeah, that was very, very heartbreaking for me. That was one of the saddest days for me. Even when Shogun lost a decision, which he should have won. Let's be real. Keep me out of the shit. He should have won that, and that was on my birthday. I'm pretty certain too.
That's
actually,
one of my
UFC 104, October 22nd.
I would not remember, but I remember that I scored it for Lyoto, and I remember that it was great. Okay, now
well, I do another.
Still one of my favorite fights to this day.
Oh, it was a very fun fight.
No,
it was a great fight.
People just hate on it. And I'm like, dude. These were like 2 men using their styles the best way they knew how.
Yep.
Shogun with like the huge combos.
Beautiful leg kicks.
But still being clever enough not to let that, because that was, I think, what a lot of people thought, that the way, you know, his aggression would probably feed right into what Lyoto wanted. And then it didn't. He fought a very smart game. And then Lyoto fought his game. And to me, it was just like, I was mesmerized.
It was a super close fight.
Yeah, it was
very close fight.
Insanely close. I joke now, but like, I think that both of them had cases for it.
It was good that they made the rematch pretty much immediately.
Yeah, too bad that it ended.
And that was, like I told you before, that was the first ever fight that I went to, and it was a treat to be there for Shogun capturing the title because I was such a huge fan from back in the day. What interests you about MMA the most? Like, take your job out of it. What interests you about it the most?
Right now, I don't think I can take my job out of it because I've grown past the stage of just enjoying fights for the sake of enjoying them. I feel like I can't do that anymore without context.
Okay.
Like if you just show me a fight and I don't know who these people are, I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy it.
Okay.
Because I used to be very into like the technical aspects of it, just like watching, trying to figure out, what's happening, who's imposing one. Now, like what interests me the most about MMA is the stories. Because these are like
human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they're special human beings. It takes something for you to be a cage fighter.
But I think you're in a very special position where you're able to make that difference. Like you can be like, okay, this person is a human and he's not just fighting to get a title. He's fighting for the well-being of his family. Whereas, casual fans just like, I want to see that guy get knocked out. You know what I mean?
And we've all sort of been there maybe, or...
Of course. Like getting into the sport, that's kind of what gets us into the sport.
Exactly.
It's like I came from WWE to UFC. Like, holy shit, they do this for real? This guy's actually getting punched in the face? And you tell me the people running off the ropes and back to the person, that doesn't actually happen?
So that's not an accident. Like they want to hurt each other.
Exactly. That's what really got me. I was part of the Brock Lesnar transition.
Yeah.
When Brock Lesnar started to get to the UFC, that's when I started to flip too.
Oh.
That's when I realized, I'm like, oh shit, they do this for real. That's when I dropped WWF completely. MMA, absolutely. But I can't remember where I really started to differentiate it from, I want to see this guy get knocked out, to I'm interested to see what kind of game plan they're coming into this fight with, what they're fighting for. It started getting into like how much these guys are getting paid. If I, start to be that fucking social justice warrior for them in terms of they should be getting paid more and stuff like that. I'm not sure when that transition for me happened, but I think we are like, I've been around fighters a lot. You've been around fighters a lot. It takes that special position for you to be like, okay, now I can differentiate it. Now I don't know if I want to watch these guys actually, punch each other in the face. I want one of them to, somebody's got to win. Can't they both win? Can we both give them a title or something like that? What is it for you though that keeps you attracted to the sport?
I think that is it. I
stories.
don't know. Yeah. Because and that's a hard question for me to answer. It's the question that I ask everyone in my podcast.
Your turn.
God damn it, I hate this.
You accepted this.
I do not appreciate this. And it's a question that I ask myself. Like, say I do not work in MMA anymore tomorrow. Like, I'm going to be watching.
For sure.
Right? So, am I? For how long will it keep me interested? And I honestly do not know how to answer it. I don't know. I think that what keeps me there is just how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Like the whole concept of it is just insane.
I find it the most intriguing because there's so many other sports where like guys hate each other, but they have to go dribble a ball out there, or they have to go run from one end zone to the other. These guys actually get to punch each other in the face. And that's why I've never gotten like the whole weigh-ins, pushing each other and trying to fight each other. You guys are getting paid to do it the next day.
But then at the same time, they're like just cutting weight. They're like weird, and their emotions are.
I get there's a lot of tension and emotions coming into it, but why do it illegally when you're getting paid to like?
But it's the emotions.
Like, I get it.
That's the part that really intrigues me, because like, can you imagine? Like you're in like your underwear.
The closest I've done is like boxing sparring at a family gym. That's about it.
I did Muay Thai for like 10 years.
Oh wow.
I still cannot imagine.
Probably whoop my ass. I'm just gonna come in with the boxing stats. I got my rival gloves right there. So
my head kick is pretty good, so I would probably just try that. But it takes up a lot of energy. So
your stamina like just completely gone.
After 5 of them, they fail.
Then you're done. I'll take you down. That's about it.
Exactly. I'm done. I'm a blue belt though. So.
Okay. More than I've ever done, so that's fine.
But I just think that that's the thing that really intrigues me. Like, to me, I can't even imagine doing that. Not even the fighting part. Okay. I mean, once the door is closed, like the instincts kick in. And you're just there and you don't have anywhere else to go. So you're kind of like, I guess I'm going to have to do it. But just like make it up to that point, right? Because you go through an entire camp of thinking about that.
Yes.
And you can't let the anxiety wreck you, right? And then you go to training every day, and we see the good stuff, but I'm sure there are days when they go to like a sparring session and then they get fucking murdered, and they
don't want to be there or anything like that.
They just think, no, I suck at this. They can't say it.
Yeah. Lima Lay McFarland actually did that recently. I don't know if you caught that, but she was talking about how she's like close to retiring in the middle of her fight camp because she got beat up one day in training, and she goes, I'm going to retire.
I saw something on Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't even...
But then she eventually got it back together, and then she won the last fight. I love that. I love her so much. She's won me a lot of money in the past, but regardless, like she's awesome. Like I don't think we'll ever see her in the UFC, to be honest, just because she has such a great relationship with Bellator. Have you been around or covered any fighter through their training camp?
Never.
Is that something you want to do?
I would love to. Like we were talking about documentaries. I love documentaries. I've watched them for a long time. So I do hope I get to make one day, and I would love it to be. But that's the thing. Like we've seen fight documentaries, so I think
Anatomy of a Fighter, something like that.
Yeah. And that was my issue. Like what took me this long to get into podcasting was the fact that I just thought there were too many of them, and I wanted to do something different.
For sure.
But I would love to like do a documentary and actually capture like a camp.
Yeah. The ups, the downs, everything.
Exactly. Not just like the little bit, not just like, oh, he's sweating a lot and he's craving candy, and just like the part when the person is just kind of like, I suck at this. I'm bad at this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to make it up there. And then you're doing all of that and you're dieting. Yeah. And you're like...
We hate dieting as normal people. Imagine trying to do it while you're going to get punched in the face.
Exactly. Like you have all these emotions and you have no outlet for them. You can drink, you can eat, you can, you're so limited. And you're doing that in a very public way if you're a big fighter.
For sure.
People are calling you and you have to be like, no, it's amazing. It's been great. It's the best camp of my life. Yeah. And you can see why they would do it. Because if they say, no, it sucked, I'm injured. And every now and then, people from that camp and the fighter will tell you this, and the person from that camp is going to be like, no, their knee is busted. Yeah. You just talk to them and they say that everything's great, but their knee is busted.
That's why it's hard for me to get behind watching interviews of fighters nowadays, because you got to take a grain of salt with whatever they say. They're not going to be like, yeah, my knees hurt.
Because otherwise they're just giving an ammunition.
Exactly. This is the one sport where, with basketball, you can be like, okay, we're going to go out there and shoot all these 3-pointers and see what the team's going to do about it. With fighting, you're going to be like, okay, if my knees hurt, kind of fucked. Right? You're kind of fucked.
No way around this one.
Yeah. I'm lucky in the aspect where I have been around guys from when I worked at the MMA gym. I was in charge of my job title was general manager of the gym. So I was trying to get members into the gym and all that. But I was also, the owner also saw that I was really into the fight game. So I started booking fights for guys, cornering guys. That was a very fucking fun experience.
That must be
so fun from the amateur level to the pro level. It was so fun. I love it. It's very nerve wracking.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and thankfully these guys that I was cornering, they trusted me. Yeah. To the point the only advice I've ever given a fighter in terms of technique is whenever you're breaking from a clinch, throw something.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when people are least
expecting. Don't just let that moment go away.
Exactly, throw something, and it fucking worked out in one of the fights. I actually told the guy, awesome. Yeah, it was fucking great. But seeing them from the beginning, where you see them in the beginning of the training camp all the way up into the fight, it's something that people just don't get to see, and I wish people got to see more of it. Anatomy of a Fighter is doing a good job of that, but I think that there's even more that can be uncovered, and I hope that you get to freaking do it. That would be awesome. I don't know if that's something you've ever pitched to the Athletic or something or even Dan.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
That's something that I wouldn't want to do for an outlet or something like that.
Do you feel like you have a relationship with a certain fighter or certain fighters that would allow you to do something like that? You don't have to name any names, but I'm just saying
I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, the reason why I get good interviews with fighters is because a lot of them are people that I've known forever.
And they trust you.
And they trust me.
That's
and
the main
thing.
That
I'm not going to, make them look bad. That there is a reason why I'm asking the things I'm asking. And they know that I know the sport, which helps, right? Because they're not answering they are talking to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. But there's a limit to that. There's I would love to do a documentary on Damian Maia. but
I would watch the shit
it's
out of that.
already happened.
Okay.
They've already done a documentary.
Did I miss this? Is it in Portuguese? That's probably
and
why.
I haven't watched it yet. It's coming out still.
Okay.
He talked to me when I did my story on him, which was the closest thing, and I'm happy with it. I think I was able to show a side of him that not a lot of people knew, but he was talking, and he wants to publish books and things like that. So he's doing that for himself.
He's on his retirement tour right now, isn't he? He just took that fight with Gilbert Burns. That's coming up soon.
He is.
I think he has 1 or 2 more fights left in him.
He's not committed to retiring, but he might.
But it's not like I'm going for the title. Like, he's not thinking that. Is he?
So if he gets close enough to that title, that would be the thing that would keep him around for a little longer.
Interesting. Gilbert Burns is kind of the way to that as well, because that guy has a lot of steam behind him.
Exactly.
And
he's hilarious.
Damien? Gilbert? I'm glad he's getting the steam that he is too, because he's a very charismatic guy from at least things I've seen. What he's been doing with the AAA, I think that's where he calls himself now. Instead of the Triple C.
I actually interviewed him, but it hasn't come out for a story, and he was like, shit. I was like, oh, how are you with your mission? And he was like, no, I got sick. Oh. So I'm slowing down a bit. He was just getting over a flu or something. It was no, so I stopped it for a week. And then he got 2 days later.
That's awesome. He's a very fun follow. He's
awesome.
And this is a big fight for him too with Damian.
I hate this fight.
Of course. I'm sure there's plenty of fights in the past where you've been like, I don't want these guys to fight each other.
Right? Verdum and Big Nog.
Oh, that must have been tough for you, right?
Big Nog was the one reassuring me after.
It's cool. I promise.
He did
That's awesome.
I wasn't working as a journalist, so I was allowed to show emotions. Yeah. Now when I'm
do you find it tough now though? Being in the position that you are?
Oh yeah. I have a tough time. Not even hiding my emotions in terms of I want this person to win and this person to lose, but I don't do a lot of cage side. I used to be MMA Junkie. I used to be backstage doing video. So now it's exciting. So I did Uruguay. I was cage side.
That's cool.
That's the Shevchenko. Unless I had to watch Shevchenko and Carmouche, so that was not cool.
I didn't get to watch that.
But I watched Mike Perry and Vicente Luque.
That was a freaking crazy fight.
So I was like,
that was insane. Yeah, and then his nose after that.
Faces.
At what point did you notice his nose?
The blood. But the really disgusting part was when Vicente had him in a lock. Was it a guillotine?
I think so.
He had his head stuck.
And then he was squeezing and the blood was coming out.
And you could see the blood dripping from Vicente's side. And it was just the grossest fucking thing ever.
Oh my God.
And just now in Sao Paulo, I was cage side for Shogun and Paul Craig.
Oh yeah. Crazy fight.
And then the minute that the Paul Craig, I think it was the first round when Paul unleashed on Shogun. No, second. And it seemed it could be over for a few seconds there. But Shogun was
covering up.
He wasn't really getting the damage, but it was right where I was.
Oh wow! So you could see it all.
I could see it all, but not all, and that's what was scary because I had Shogun's back toward me, and then Craig just throwing shit, and I was like, dude, don't you dare get knocked out.
Don't do this to me, Shogun.
That would be very unpleasant.
Yeah.
Let's just avoid this whole situation. I'm looking at it oh man.
I do a show with one of my best friends where we the night after or the day after the fights, we look at a split decision. Yeah. And we'll try to break down and see, okay, was this the correct call?
I did not think that was the correct call.
I think a draw was correct.
You thought so?
I think a draw was correct.
I didn't watch it back though. So there's that. Watching cage side, I gave it to Shogun. I was robbery. I don't agree with robbery. It's very rare for a fight to just be so fucking weird that you can't agree with the result. That one.
That's why I'm doing that show. All these split decisions that are happening, where it's called deciding splits.
That's
we want to create conversation and have a platform where people can be we're even trying to introduce our own type of scoring system. We call it the CSS. I'm not even going to get into what it stands for, but it's relative scoring. So if somebody won a round way more decisively than the second round or the third round,
that would just boggle people's minds too much.
But
you can't trust judges to be this subjective.
But all 10-9s are not the same. Right?
I agree, but again, decisively would have to be a 10-8.
Do you remember the Marino Rodriguez and Cynthia Calvillo fight? That was a draw.
Yes, but I don't think I watched the fight.
Okay. We had it 10-9 Marina Rodriguez first round, 10-8 round 2 for Rodriguez, and then 10-7 for Calvillo in the third, which still gave us a draw.
Yeah.
But I think they should be more lenient with 10-7s and 10-8s.
They never do 10-7s.
They don't. Very rare. Like
Now
I can't
they're
remember.
getting more liberal with the 10-8s.
But I think that's the way to go. Like if you want to stick with this 10-point must system, then why the fuck are we not using the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Like let's be a little bit more generous with it so that we can see.
They're very conservative.
It's mind-boggling. I don't think we're ever going to see a change from it. At least in the next like 5 years or so.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me like when I do like ask me anything on Twitter for my podcast, like when do you think about the scoring system? I'm like, I have no idea what's the best alternative here.
Do you have something in mind that you would like even a thought where you're like, this would solve it? Not even. You'd even tread into that territory. You're like, fuck it. Not my job.
Not my job. No, I just like feel like maybe know what you're fucking watching.
Touche.
That would be
watch.
Know what you're scoring. Yeah. Like the ideal thing would be for it to be unified. Like everybody's looking for the same things.
Yeah.
Because the fighter who plays for points, like you can just be like, oh, you should. Dude, they play for points.
It's a fucking it's a sport. Like
twice
these are the
salary.
rules. Yeah,
twice your money.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing.
Can you imagine like you make twice your money if you win?
Yes.
So of course you want to win.
Of course, and you want to play it safe as much as possible for certain guys.
For certain guys.
For certain women.
Don't give a fuck. So it's like Mike Perry was gonna be Mike Perry and whatever. And even him, he started like smarten up a bit, but like. So you can't really fault them for wanting to play within the system, and they make strategies within the system. So the system just needs to be clear.
What do you think about fighters becoming judges? Because I think Ricardo Almeida did it, right? I think Frank Trigg is just a referee. But what do you think about?
I think Frank Trigg is just a referee.
Yeah, I think Ricardo Almeida started doing it for New Jersey.
I think that would be awesome, but like,
there's a little bit of conflict of interest there, though.
If they're still like involved in gyms, yes, and he's a coach. So,
but you may not even know what certain like relationships some of these guys have with the fighters.
Yeah, no,
right?
You're right. Like I think the idea of having a fighter who knows what they're looking for sounds appealing. Now that you just like mentioned it to me, but there will inevitably be a conflict.
There needs to be some sort of like,
because even like
this guy can't judge these fights, just because he has a relation to these guys.
But then can you imagine the like complication of making that happen?
Touche. Right? There's a lot of like red tape and logistical shit going on there.
Like, no, I know you know that guy.
Last thing I want to get on in terms of judging, Moraes and Moraes.
Both are correct.
What do Brazilians prefer?
So no, from Rio we would say Moraes.
Okay.
From São Paulo they would say Moraes.
I'm gonna go with Moraes. Moraes and Aldo. Wait, you're from here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shogun is from the south.
Yes. Curitiba.
Yeah. He has the weirdest fucking accent. I'm trying to like the way he talks.
I'll go with Shogun's way. Whatever he would say Moraes says, or Moraes, I'll go with that.
Moraes.
Okay, Moraes and Aldo. Do you remember the third round? It was more so Aldo pressing forward.
I had Aldo.
You had Aldo winning that.
Yeah.
I had Moraes winning that. The third round. Because Aldo was moving forward.
Yeah.
He was throwing a lot, but he wasn't really landing. Whereas Moraes was landing the better shots, more effective, more damage, in my opinion.
I had Aldo, but once it was over, I was kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Touche.
Like, I'm not going to be mad at anything.
If anything, Aldo rose his stock or grew his stock.
Because it was like
everybody's like, he's going to go in there and get murked because he's at 135, doesn't have fucking, his wits about him, or, he looked horrible coming into that fight. And the funny thing is, once he made weight, everybody's like, he looks great.
I was saying all along, he's not stupid. He wouldn't do this without a team saying
he'd be able to do it.
He'd be able to do it. My concern is more long term.
That's like the next thing I was going to say.
Doing it,
yeah,
I knew he was going to make. I knew you can never know, but like
I didn't think he was going to make it.
I thought he was going to. I was so annoyed by the whole conversation on Twitter.
I didn't try feeding into it, but I did see it as well, and I was in the camp of I don't think he was going to make it.
I thought he was going to make it,
and
I was just annoyed by kind of like everybody becoming a doctor out of.
I know.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, he looked great. Yeah. If even in a loss, he rose his stock, and he might even get a fucking title shot now, which is crazy.
Insane. That should not happen. Yeah,
right.
I do not agree with that.
Do you have any inside information regarding whether that's going to happen for sure or not?
No, but like it's so transparent what they did. I think Cejudo wanted him to win, and then he did, and they were like, "Oh, it's close enough that we can still try."
He's kind of lucky though that Moraes just lost to Cejudo. If it was anybody else, they would be like, give it to that fucking guy.
Now it's kind of like, okay, but what, I shouldn't have it either. So everybody's, oh my God, what do we do? I think he's going to get the fight. It's just so weird. I think it's weird.
Who do you think realistically deserves a shot at 135 right now?
Who was it? Peter Yan?
Piotr Yan.
I can't. That's why I don't talk trash about people who get Brazilian names wrong.
I'm a huge John Anik fan, and he is a stickler for pronunciation.
He would ask me. He asks everyone.
Yep.
Like he's very like.
I love that about him. I love that he's super professional in that way. I don't know if you listen to his podcast either with him and Kenny Florian.
Sometimes, yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
Kenny is very good about that too.
Sorry?
Kenny is good about that.
Yes, Kenny as well. But he is, it's so weird to hear him swear. Because he swears on his podcast, but he's very efficient with it. Like he just doesn't throw fuck. He goes, let's fucking go. Like he'll do things like that when Ray Longo comes on his podcast and all that type of stuff. I love when he does that. I was super proud when I finally got Kennedy and Zetsuko down. Couple other names, I was like, damn, I think John Anik would be proud of me if I got that. That's why I wanted to get your name correct as well. Fernanda Prates. Fernanda
And he has a Carioca accent. John says it with a Michel Prazeres.
Prazeres, yeah.
And he would ask me like, how do I say this? I'm like, well, it depends on who you're trying to please.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to like get to the Rio crowd, that's how you say it. And we're the cool people. So Laura Sanko gets the names right too.
She's awesome.
She's very good with names.
She is awesome. I'm a huge fan of hers, and especially when she calls out the dumbass people on Instagram.
That's amazing.
It's like the best part of my day when I come across that. And she does the best responses as well. Like she's so methodical when she comes with it, and then posting it to everybody else. Very cerebral. Yeah, that's the perfect freaking word. How are you liking Toronto?
I'm liking Toronto. I love it here.
Yeah,
I think it's like the best place.
What's one thing that you weren't really expecting that you've come across, or is there anything that kind of like I was not expecting to come across this in Toronto, or anything? Because you've been here before, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about like when you first came here.
No, so like I was okay. So it's a bad thing that I wasn't expecting as much.
That's
because
fine.
Like you come from Rio and you like it's like a fucking jungle up there, and everything is awful.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Canada is like the neatest, like fucking clean.
Everybody goes with the law.
Everything's just fine.
Yeah.
But like it has a big drug problem.
Homeless problem for sure. I guess drug problem is hand in hand.
Yeah, because like you see people really out of it on the streets.
Yeah.
And that's not something you see in Rio.
Homelessness is not a huge
No, it's
issue.
huge.
Okay.
But usually like people like just out of it. It's something that's kind of like far away from your reality.
Interesting.
Here, like, because I was staying downtown for a while, like people are like zombies.
Yeah.
And you feel really bad because you know that
that's the worst. I try to just podcast straight ahead.
And that's what you have to do in Rio because like homelessness is huge and like a lot of kids on the streets, and it's like it's so heartbreaking that you have to be a little insensitive, otherwise you just won't be able to get on with your life.
No way.
You know,
when I went to India for the first time,
oh man, I can't even imagine.
Oh my god,
I can't even imagine.
Broke my heart every single day stepping out, and even like we went to go visit my aunt. And she has her like little house area, and then across the street is like Skid Row type of shit.
Oh no!
Where like half built houses and people are living out of it in tents and shit. Kids too, deformed kids, like stuff like that. Like breaks so my fucking heart. Like I hate seeing that type of stuff. Yeah. But it's pretty prominent in Toronto. Like it's you see that stuff downtown. There's a huge drug problem. Are there any big drug problems in Brazil? Like is there?
It's different because it's more out of sight, I think, in terms of just drugs. And like here, like the opioid problem is big, like in the US, and it's different there. So it's just different. Rio has so many problems. So it's kind of like...
Sorry, you live in Rio?
I live in Rio.
Okay. Yep.
So I think that's the thing. Like you go out, get out of there thinking that, no, Canada's perfect. Like, have you seen Trudeau? Dreamy.
Oh my God. What do you think about the beard? What do you think about the beard?
It's so like... middle-aged crisis. I love it. It's adorable. I think it's like he's trying to look edgy. I'm all for it. You do you, boo. Justin, I'm still
Let me
here.
fluff your pillows for you.
Still here. I love beards. So
I'll send it off. Don't worry. It's all good.
it's okay. Okay, you can buy a Porsche.
This is your camera right here if you want to really give
Love
him a
it.
full. There you go.
Justin.
There you go. Send the wink.
here.
Send the wink. There you
I'll
go.
be here for like 2 months or so. No strings attached.
None.
Nobody's
Mrs. Trudeau doesn't need to know.
Nobody's a little sick. No, but
Yeah.
but it's so different. Like, because on the other hand, public transportation so effective
Here compared to over there.
Compared, like Rio is a mess. Like you don't know where. Like I would never trust me like to get somewhere with a cell phone.
Oh,
Here
really?
it's kind of like it's just messy.
That's kind of what like a tourist like relies on.
I do not know how tourists don't go to Rio.
That was going to be one of my following questions. I want to go to Brazil, but
Oh,
I've
as
heard,
a tourist, it's fine. It's like a cool place to visit.
but I've heard it's kind of dangerous for
It
us.
is, yes.
Like people are actively looking out there to go out there and scam tourists, things like that.
And everyone. Here, like, I walk around with my phone out in my hand.
That you can't do that in Rio.
Oh, sweet summer child.
Oh no! Are you serious?
Yeah, here it's insane. Like, I was, like, arriving at a station at, like, 1 a.m. Cold as tits, which sucks. I was, like, dying. But I was, like, I had my phone out. I was like, well, this is shady as fuck, but I don't care. No harm is going to be done to you. Like, I'm walking down this, like,
My
it's a dark
God.
alley. Fine, I'll just walk into this alley. I'll just do that. Why not?
Can't do that in Rio. Really, that bad?
No, it's really
I remember hearing a fighter got robbed. I think wasn't Aldo robbed?
Shogun.
Shogun got robbed.
like the car. Like they took everything. They took his car. Nobody's gonna rob Aldo.
No,
No, they won't fuck with that.
Aldo's like snot. Everybody knows Aldo.
Aldo in Rio, yeah, he's the king of Rio.
Actually, that's true. John Anik gave him that fucking name. That's
The
crazy.
Shogun.
Shogun got robbed. Poor
He got
guy.
robbed. It was like a scary situation. I think they took his car. It was like something bad.
Wow.
Jessica Andrade
Yes, I remember that one.
got robbed. Like it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's not. It's. I mean, I always try to say, well, it's not like Sarajevo during like the Civil War. So
Okay.
it's like because a lot of people think, look, you can get shot. I've never been robbed with a weapon.
Have you ever been in a situation where you feel threatened?
Oh, all of them.
Every day? Is it every day almost?
Every day.
Fuck.
My mom was
The
like,
fact that you're saying that you can't even walk around with your phone out is crazy.
Yeah, you're terrified all the
Jewelry, tuck it in.
time. What is jewelry? Why would I own that? But my mom, when she moved out, she's living in Portugal now. She was like severely terrified.
That's another place on my bucket list.
Oh, Portugal is lovely.
For sure.
So cheap. She was like terrified of everything in Rio. So
Where did you grow up? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
I grew up in Rio. I was born
Okay.
in Brasilia, the capital.
Yes.
But I grew up in like a good zone of Rio. Like
Okay.
the south zone, the noble part of the city.
We have some pretty sketchy areas in Toronto.
Yeah.
Jane and Finch, shout out.
I've heard. Haven't seen them.
The fucked up part is, before I went to go grab you from the station, apparently my neighbor got robbed. So I don't know if you noticed when we were walking in like the neighbor house, he has all these wires and stuff outside. He's an electrician.
Didn't notice.
But he had mounds of them out there. Somebody came and stole all of that. And he has a tractor, like a small trailer in his parking garage, in his driveway. And they tried stealing that too. So there's like a little bit of dust on it and they would write like cool or nice. They'll keep fucking around. And even the people across the street from me, their car got stolen. I had no idea this area was like that at all. Apparently, a couple houses down, they have security cameras, and they saw the people taking it and stuff. The guy found his car. It was at a body shop that had like 10 grand worth of damages on it. But like, this isn't known to be a troublesome area.
Yeah.
This is meant to be like a suburban family neighborhood. But like, there are places like Jane and Fitch where like they don't really even report much on like gun shootings anymore because it's so often, it's so frequent there.
It's insane. Because watching the news, I'm always like, somebody almost got hit by a car.
I remember reading one of your tweets said something about something that happened in Mississauga.
Oh, no, it was a New Year's baby.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that was something else. But yeah.
But it's always like, somebody almost got stabbed once.
They're fine, though. I swear they're fine.
Like, that's news?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other time I was here, a lady threw a chair out of a window.
Yes.
She was Brazilian, I think.
She was Brazilian?
Somebody said
Priscilla,
that to
I think,
me.
was her name. But the funny thing is...
Priscilla is a very Brilliant name.
True. Priscilla Cachoeira. I feel like there's a ring card girl, Priscilla, as well. Okay, I'm probably off on that. But
No, there's
wait.
Camilla.
Yeah, and Jenny
And
Andrade.
Luciana.
Yep. There are places that you don't really want to go around, especially at night. But I did not know Rio was that fucking bad.
It's just that's the thing. Like
I really want to go. Like I want to experience it.
Twice in my life.
You've been robbed twice in your life.
Yeah, but not with the gun.
fucked up part is you're saying it so casually. That's the
so
fucked
my
up
sister
part.
who lives here is like, Fernanda, this is not casual.
Thank you.
But you just start seeing it. Like I've never had a gun pointed to my face.
But is that normal down
My
there?
mom has had twice.
That is so. I've never seen a gun in my life. Never. It's not normal here.
Here, like they're like cops are just gonna like they're just walking around with like giant.
They have like
Uzis
assault
or
rifles and
whatever.
shit.
Yeah.
Pistols and holsters. That's all I've ever seen for cops.
See, so it's like so our memories or ideas of Canada are a lot like in Bowling for Columbine. When he's like walking around houses and everything's unlocked and he says like one person died of a gunshot in this town. And then you're watching it out in Rio and you're what?
Like I feel ridiculously safe in Toronto and this area just because we've never really had anything big that's happened. There was the biggest thing that happened. There was a guy that, Yonge Street. That's like one of our main big streets. There was a guy that actually like drove down the sidewalk and mowed down people.
It was an incel, right?
Yes. The fucked up part is you probably follow this because you love your true crime shit, but they released the interrogation video of that guy like an hour or two after he committed the crime, and he is absolutely saying, "Yes, I did it." You probably saw
that recently.
How fucked up is that?
And also that show on Netflix, "Don't Fuck with Cats."
I gotta watch that still,
It's
but yeah, it was about a guy
Canadian
from Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, that was fucked up. I gotta watch it.
He only killed one guy. He's barely a serial killer, but he did some fucked up shit with
cats. The thing that he did, all I heard is what he did with the snake and the cat. That was kind of fucked up. You watched it?
Yes. And I'm terrified of snakes. That's
you have a huge phobia with snakes?
It's the one thing that
my cousin can't even look at a snake or a picture.
I can't on TV.
Not even a picture.
I just like freak out.
I had a stuffed snake.
I see them all day. I dream of them.
Really that bad? I guess you and my cousin are one in the same then. That's fucking crazy. I didn't know that like even looking at something you'd be terrified.
I am with snakes.
Like if I was to pull up a snake right here, right now.
Don't do that.
No?
I'll be very sad.
This friendship is over.
It's gotten better. It used to be like I couldn't even see a picture.
Wow.
I'm just like
she can't even watch The Jungle Book.
What's that? Jumanji? What's The Jungle Book?
You've never watched like Disney movies when you were growing up or anything?
I did.
Yeah. So
Which
Cinderella, fucking Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book is right there.
Which one is Jungle Book?
Jungle Book's with the fucking tiger and the...
It isn't Mowgli?
Mowgli, yeah.
Oh, we call it Mowgli. Mowgli the Wolf Boy. It's a translation in Brazil.
What, how do you say it actually?
Mowgli, o menino lobo.
Oh, that sounds so cute.
Mowgli. Celeste is the snake.
Yes. It's called The Jungle Book. Can you watch that?
It's a cartoon.
It's torturous to fucking sit through that shit.
I could actually watch sort of snakes on a plane.
Didn't watch that, but I'm sure that would really fuck my cousin up.
They're so fake.
Oh, okay. Like super CGI.
You can kind of tune out.
Yeah.
I was taken into that movie as a prank by friends.
Oh, wow. You thought you were supposed to go watch something else? And they knowingly did this to you. That's a bitch move. That is such a bitch move. And you actually survived, though.
I mean, developed a bit of an alcohol addiction after that. I didn't drink before then. So I just do that to erase the voices
just
in my head.
Just fucking suppress those memories.
Them out. It's hard.
One thing that I'm actually interested in knowing about Brazil is also their marijuana laws.
Super strict. Oh yes, it's super legal here.
Canada.
Oh my God, everybody's like, "You're gonna smoke that legal weed." I'm like, okay, but I don't even know how to order it. And my friend was like,
fucking
there
order.
are 2 different strains. And I'm strains. In Brazil, it's like you get it and you don't ask questions.
That's it. You meet somebody in a parking lot, take it, and just leave.
It's just like no questions, and you just like accept it for what.
That's kind of how it was until it got legal here.
It's super illegal in every circumstance. So every time, like, I just feel like it's blood weed. It's like
somebody had to die for me to smoke this shit.
Favela. so you could fucking have this.
So it's like super DL, like you have to go into like a back alley and smoke or something like that.
People have dealers.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No, I love the fact that Canada like legalized it. Like it's a no brainer. Like it's gonna. I think worldwide it's eventually gonna happen as well.
Saying that it's not like we can drink alcohol. It's much
Worse, way worse.
It will kill you faster. It makes you like drive like a mad person. Like
Touché.
everything about it is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, the drinking age is 18.
That's how it is in Quebec.
Yeah, but not everywhere here, right? Sometimes
Here
19.
it's in Ontario is 19. I think Quebec is the only one where it's 18.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but Alberta as well. But 19 is normally their age, and then in the States it's fucking 21, which is hilarious because half these fighters are like 20 coming into the UFC and they can't even go party after.
21.
Chase Hooper,
and I was
remember that
all
kid?
the time when I was there.
Really?
I love it.
I've
I've
had this beard since I was like 15.
That's good.
That's an Indian gene for you right there.
That's amazing.
So I never really got carded.
Not even in the US, because they card everyone. They probably card me to this day there. Like, seriously.
They card my fiance all the fucking time.
She looks very young.
Yeah, she does.
I got carded at LCBO the other day.
Ooh. It's been a long time since I've had to pull it out. Really?
So
No, I'm
flattering.
not 30, but thank you.
Yes, this is my passport. Alrighty. Just good genes. I take care of my skin, okay? I do not.
Oh my God. What is the perception of marijuana down there? That's just I have a fascination with how it is perceived in all these different countries.
Okay, so it's
Like, is it big among the kids? Like
it is, but I feel like it's still got such a negative connotation.
It still does here though. Even though it's legal.
Really? Because you can theoretically smoke anywhere, right? Like
You can smoke anywhere, you can smoke cigarettes. But each city within Toronto, like there's Toronto and then there's the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto Area. And each area has their own bylaws in terms of where you can smoke it.
Yeah.
So in Markham, for example, you can only smoke it on your own property. You're not able to smoke it in public.
See,
Toronto, you can smoke wherever the fuck you want.
Okay.
As long as you can smoke a cigarette there, you can smoke marijuana there.
That's good to know.
That's the difference. Don't want to break any laws.
Good information.
Brampton's the same thing. You can smoke wherever the hell you want, wherever cigarettes can be smoking. You just can't smoke at parks.
Yeah.
Near schools.
Smoke at parks?
No, because it's like kids might be around. They don't want you to be able to smoke wherever kids are.
Oh.
Schools, daycares, fucking all that shit.
But who would want to be near a
No, it's true. It's true. It's so true.
daycare?
I know.
I live right above a school in Ravens.
Oh my God. Better not be smoking there.
No, I just want to die there. So, like, they're just very loud, but in your face.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just feel like I ovulate.
So it's like kind of looked down upon there is what you're saying?
And to me, that's a hilarious part because it's like you have all these parents like admonishing weed because they were taught to, because they were taught it was a bad thing. And it's called a maconheiro, somebody who's a weed smoker.
Okay. Is that like the equivalent of calling somebody a pothead or a crackhead?
Yeah, it would be like a pothead, but like it's used like in a very derogatory way.
Touche.
Yeah, like maconheiro. It's like, yeah, it's better than
hilarious.
a fucking drunk.
Yeah, that's true.
I never smoke. I drink a lot. I'm more dangerous than
You've never tried weed?
No, I've tried weed.
Okay, you've tried it.
Times.
But
it's
you're just
not a thing that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if it's available, I'm like that type of person. Like if it's there, I'll smoke it. But
that's kind of like my tray when I give to guests now. Like even my last one, we smoked something pretty big and then came down and started talking shit.
Oh, you see?
I would have offered it to you, but I didn't want to be too straightforward. That's all.
No, but
like alcoholism.
That's usually I don't mix it. Just sometimes I do. I don't.
No, I know. One of my old college roommates, as soon as he mixes it, like if he has alcohol all night and then it hits the spliff once or something, immediately throwing up.
Really?
Immediately.
I
It's
never
weird.
get sick. The worst thing that can happen is just like I get real sleepy.
That does happen for sure. I just want to sleep now. That's it. But you don't wake up with a hangover, right?
True.
But I found a way to combat hangovers.
Water.
Yes. Every time you go to the washroom, drink water right after. That's kind of what anytime I'm at a bar, go to the washroom, come back, kill a glass of water, and then get back to drinking.
Rational me knows that.
And then party Nanda
And
is
then
all like
party me. She's called Chantal. Chantal does not know that.
No.
She does not care.
Just party. Just party, have a good time.
She just sees shots and beer. But here, like, she has to be responsible because shit ends at like 1 or 2.
Touche. What do you see as the difference in terms of nightlife?
Oh, this.
Way better here?
Oh, no, worse. Like, final call? What is less call? Sorry.
1 a.m., 2 a.m.-ish.
Terrible. That's when
Rio
we're just getting started.
Brazil is just fucking all night, all you want.
Midnight is when people get out of the house.
Touche. So there is no last call down there? No.
Yeah.
No legal, nothing. No laws saying you can't drink after this.
The bar will kick you out, but usually it's like they'll wait. And if they have good business, like it stays open longer. Usually like at around 3 or 4 is when most bars.
But there is no law saying.
There is no law there. And then you like, okay, this is closed. If you want to keep drinking until like 9 a.m., you can. John Morgan and I have done plenty of that.
That fucking guy.
After UFC events, like.
I'm sure you guys have some great fucking stories.
Oh, we do.
I don't know if they're still doing the roadshow. The MMA roadshow?
They are.
Religiously. Unfortunately, that's a podcast I kind of fell off of. Not sure why.
I don't really listen.
But I love the inside info that he always had.
And Kenny is like...
Oh, Kenny Hathaway? Fucking awesome. Love that guy. He's super cool.
He's amazing.
He's the best.
Yeah, we just like get out of... Because like in Brazil, like events end really late. Like 4, 5...
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes depends on like because daylight saving time, which our fascist president ended.
Fascist president.
The Nazi guy like stop that. So because of the time difference, I think Aldo Mendes won. I left the arena at like 5:30. Like it was day.
That bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. So after you're done with work, by the time like you can actually have a beer, it's like 5 or 6. So John and I would just go across the street to the kiosk. And joggers are like running past us at 7 a.m.
And you guys are going to get shit-faced. That I've always felt kind of shitty that we're in the East Coast.
Yeah.
And like our main cards start at 10 o'clock.
And that's already like pretty bad. For us, like sometimes 1 a.m.
1 a.m. main card starts for you guys. But wait, which time zone is that? Like
Brazil time is like 2 hours. Right now it's 2 hours ahead.
Everywhere in Brazil?
Yeah.
Aren't there time zones within Brazil?
Manaus is different. It used to be different, but now after they killed daylight savings for us,
which is weird. I don't know what the fuck.
The Nazi guy is just a weird guy. He does weird fucking shit.
It's weird that you can even axe that type of shit.
I don't even know. Like, I didn't know that the president could just be like...
Yeah, I thought this was just a world thing.
Because everybody loved it. Because at like 7 p.m. you could, be at the beach. Because it was still light out.
Still light,
Everybody loved it. So, I don't know why it ended. But it did. But then we're now 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours ahead of Eastern. And
2 hours ahead.
5.
So, they started like midnight for you guys.
Yeah.
Main cards.
Now. But then, for a while, we would have a 6-hour difference to Pacific time. And I knew that because I worked with Junkie and people were in Vegas.
Yeah.
So 6
That's the best fucking time zone for an MMA fan.
Everything's early.
I went to Lesnar Velasquez.
Yeah.
And that was in Anaheim. And that was the first time I ever watched a fight on the Western Standard Time.
Yeah.
So as soon as we got outside, it's still fucking 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Exactly.
We're like,
what do I do with all this time that I have on my hands?
Normally at this time, I'm saying goodbye to my friend, going home and getting right into bed. Like, I'm not much of a party or anything like that, right? Like, we'll just chill at his place, watch the fights, come back.
I'm an old lady. Like, I wake up at 7 a.m.
Ooh.
I have lunch at like 11.
I'm not out of bed earlier than 10 o'clock if I'm not working.
Oh, if I'm writing, I'm up at like 5:30.
I'm a night owl, though. Like, I'll stay up as late as I can.
I'm the opposite. Because I like writing before the day gets me.
Touche.
So Makes I'll like wake up super early, like I haven't been infected by reality yet. And I'll get most of my writing.
Get out there.
And then I'll write everything I can, go for a run, and then I'll...
One more thing about Brazil that I wanted to touch on, and we'll end this very shortly. We're getting in on 2 hours. It's almost 2 hours, but it doesn't feel like 2 hours, does it?
Right?
At least for me, it doesn't feel like 2 hours.
No, not at all.
Sure
but you're gonna have to edit this.
Oh no! I'm not editing shit.
It's just out there.
It's in the ether now. Ben Folks is gonna have his ego stroke through the roof.
But you're gonna have to like send him time. Like,
yep.
He's not gonna listen to like a full hour of a thing too.
They can barely get through a fucking hour of their own show.
Like, he doesn't even read like comments. He's just like a higher being.
One thing, there's a comedian that I listen to his podcast, Tom Segura.
Yes, know him.
And it's weird as fuck to me that he can speak Spanish so fluently. I don't know if you know that. Right?
But Segura seems like
His mother's Peruvian.
Okay, so that.
Yeah. And in this last podcast, they were talking about the term Latinx.
Okay.
You know that term?
Yes.
And he tried explaining it to a cousin of his in Peru.
Yeah.
And he, this is kind of bad to say, but he goes, I'm sorry.
I'm scared.
He goes, oh, you mean maracon?
Oh,
it's kind of fucking bad. I know it's horrible. Like I'm not trying to. It's just horrible that he said that. But what is the perception in Brazil in terms of like that topic? Like, is it
LGBTQ?
Yeah. Is it? Dated. How is it down there?
Dated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like even so, you use the word when Verdum said it. Because he speaks Spanish, Portuguese.
Yes. And
it was like this.
I remember he got into a
lot of trouble. And as he should have, because I don't think that we need to give people a pass. But I kind of could understand where he was coming from because in Brazil, we still use a lot of slurs.
It's just super like lax back there, but like
it's not the same word because in Brazil it's a word with V that I do not want to read.
That's fine.
I hate it, but they use it like in soccer games, everything. It's very common.
Like as a chant.
Ooh, they just now started cracking down on it.
Oh,
like,
really?
They will punish the teams if they catch like their.
How do they punish the teams?
So if everybody's yelling that, they can be like you're suspended or whatever. Like they find ways to like, or you lose money or whatever. Like they've started like trying to like stop this culture in stadiums, which I find amazing.
It's good that they're cracking down on it.
Oh, I hate it. In 5 years, everybody will be like, I can't believe there was a time when we said that in stadiums. But it's a very big part of our culture. And even like what Americans and North Americans, Canadians would call slurs, we just call them, it's just a bad word.
It's profanity. Yeah.
But people say it and it doesn't have the same weight.
I just feel like
it's starting to change.
There's not a lot of people that are up in arms about it yet down there, right? That's probably what it is.
It's starting to change now. But even like with racist shit, like it's just now starting to get the attention that it deserved. But I do feel like we're a little behind on that in what, I, as a social justice warrior and sensitive snowflake, I've always taken these stances. Well, not always. I wasn't born educated. I was a problematic person up until like 10 years ago. But I have been like woke to these things for a while. But as a general culture, no. We're just catching on to things that are super offensive in North America for us are just part of.
I feel like just anybody outside of North America is just a year, maybe not a year, but a couple of years behind.
It's a couple of years.
The progressive movement,
and
right?
That's the thing. A couple of years is a lot. It doesn't look like a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a lot in terms of what is just like frowned upon and what is just like fucking downright unacceptable. Yeah. And that's when when Verdum said the slur.
The V word. Yeah.
Which was, and he said it with an M, and it was just like horrifying. I was kind of like, I'm not defending him. We should be like, no, you shouldn't say this. But I understand that for him, it was less serious.
Because he didn't realize the ramifications of saying that.
Because for us, it's kind of like, you shouldn't say this, but whatever. Like, like,
Have you lost respect for him after that? Like, I'm sure it damaged a little bit. But was it repairable?
To be honest, no, because I know how much of the culture is still like that.
So it's more fueled by culture than it was actually him being a hateful person.
Exactly.
Right?
So it would be hypocritical of me to be like, no, I like you less because you said this. It's more like
product of your environment.
I know that this is the culture and it's super toxic and I hate it and we should all work to change it. And it's what I'm trying to do.
Yep, for sure.
Like with my podcast and with what I tweet and write about. But I wasn't like, oh, I think less of you because you said those words. At the same time, I understand why it would be the case for other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when it was a Peruvian.
When they
heard that it was probably like natural to them.
He had no idea. Like
He had
goes,
no
what are you
idea
talking
that
about?
it was like being super
Like even
offensive.
Segura was trying to explain to me. He goes, if somebody doesn't, what do they identify as a male or female, like a Latina or a Latino, they use Latinx, and he had no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
They use the X in Brazil a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We have like a strong activist movement, like making
That's
waves, and I think it's just starting out. The X is starting to become a thing.
And last thing, I promise this will be the last thing, so I can get you out of here. Enjoying the wine,
People
the cheap
listening
wine.
to us for like 2 hours. Like,
how multicultural is it down there? Like, I'm sure that must have been a kind of a when you first came to Toronto, you're just like, holy shit, there's so many different people.
not at all. I
There's
was
no
like
multiculturalism.
very like
Yeah.
It's just insane because like the hijab.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd ever seen
In Brazil.
a woman with a hijab in Brazil.
Yeah. Probably
So-
never seen a turban down there either,
Never.
right? Interesting.
Never in person. So it was kind of like we have very different like a color palette.
Interesting.
Because
Yeah,
like
that's
we're
true.
very mixed people.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. Like I'm very white. In
Yeah,
Brazil.
yeah.
I'm considered a white person. I grew up among white privilege, and then I left Brazil.
And now you're just like, I swear I'm one of you guys.
Never.
I know, you know what I mean.
But it's just confusing.
Yeah.
Because like I would never take on a struggle in a culture that isn't my own. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I grew up with privilege.
Yes.
I have to check and own up to my privilege. But at the same time, it's kind of like, why not white?
Have you ever heard of stories from down there in terms of people that were, racially discriminated against? Like, is that something prominent in
Oh, it
Brazil?
is. Racism is huge.
Like how, like the difference between black and white Brazilians.
It's huge.
It's huge?
It's huge.
Interesting.
It's huge. And that's the thing. We're in denial about our racism, right? Because like that's the cop out. We're so mixed. There's no way there's racism in Brazil. There's a lot of colorism.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lighter skinned black person be like, oh, they're barely black.
It's kind of like that in North America too, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of.
But I feel like
in
it's
North America.
changing. Remember like Obama
Kind of.
even.
Yeah.
In
That's
Brazil,
true.
people are like, oh, he's not black. And I'm like,
He's
no,
black.
he's black.
Yeah.
Just because
exactly.
like his skin is not as dark as we've seen in Brazil, like he's black.
Yeah.
So I think that we're a few years behind in that type of education.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very racist country. And it's very like, it sucks because people like, oh, you shouldn't, because like what our version of affirmative action, like even to get into schools, we have the thing called quotas and like there are racial quotas. And people are like, oh, that's racist. No, it's not, because unfortunately, being black in Brazil, like more often than not, you're poorer than white people, just statistically, because we had slavery up until not that long ago. So
True.
it's kind of like it trickled down.
Yeah.
So we're still a very unequal society. So racism is alive and well in Brazil.
That's crazy.
But yeah,
That's
a lot of denial about it.
That's why I really like feel good in Toronto. I'm more than happy that my parents decided to make the move here.
Yeah.
And I was like born here, everything like that. Like I'm
You're first generation though.
first generation Canadian. I like to call myself a coconut because I'm brown on the outside and white on the inside.
I've heard that term.
Yeah, but like we're very westernized for sure. Like I can speak my native language to a certain extent. So like when I went to go visit my cousins in India, it was tough for me to carry an intellectual conversation like kind of what we're having. It was more so like broken English and broken Punjabi trying to fucking mix together, right?
But they speak perfect English, your
No.
parents.
Oh, my parents. My mom speaks English. Like if you like my girlfriend tried saying I want to wear a scandalous dress to the wedding or something.
Yeah.
Like that. She didn't know what scandalous meant.
Okay.
Right. So it's to a certain extent. She can have a basic conversation with you, but if you try to pull out these big fancy words on her, she probably won't know what's being said. My dad, he had like a brain injury way back in 2007, so he hasn't really been able to speak. Like he's a little bit more of a child now in terms of like his development. But before the injury, like he tried flexing his English muscles all the time. Like we'd be like, Dad, let's just fucking go. We already bought this TV. You don't have to talk to this Best Buy fucking manager anymore. Let's just go. Let's get out of here. He goes, it's okay. Let's talk to him. I'm like, no, Dad, it's done. It's over. You don't need a deal. We're done. But
he wanted to.
He just wanted to flex his English muscles. That's all it was.
I get that. I feel kind of
do
like
that too?
when I hear.
People hear the little bit of an accent and then they just get completely surprised because probably make them look stupid.
Yeah, well, sometimes like, that's my goal. Like somebody asked me for like directions or. Like,
oh wow! Says the person I got off the stop too early.
Before. Like, is that the I'm sorry, I'm not from here. I know I look like I'm from here. But it's so cool. And I was actually talking to my sister about that.
Yeah.
Just like riding like the bus and the subway and seeing so many different people.
Yes.
It's so cool.
I love it. I freaking love it.
It's so cool. You don't have that in Rio. Even like in the night out. Like here I went to like this Latin club with drag queens. And it was just so cool.
It's just normal as fuck.
I saw people from everywhere and like, like
there are instances in Canada where it is still a little like when I go visit my fiance's parents, they live in the middle of nowhere and it's kind of weird to see me at their fucking like parties and all that stuff, right? Like it took a minute for her grandparents to like grasp that I'm not white. You know what I mean? But they're totally full. Like I'm not saying that they're being racist or anything. Like, they're awesome. They're actually one of the funniest thing is one of her uncles is like super like into dark comedy. Okay. So when I first met him, I put on an accent.
Okay, define dark comedy.
Like
Bill Burr or dark
kind of Bill Burrish, right? Like.
Okay.
So when I met him, I put on an Indian accent for the first maybe 20 minutes just to fuck with him. Just to fuck with him.
He thought that actually how
and then before like I left, I like pulled out the real like how I actually talk, and he got so red, but everybody else was in on the joke. It fucking killed me. It was awesome. But they're just not used to it. They're just not used like in the middle of nowhere. They're not used to seeing, different people. Like that was a very I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like a very German dominant area that they were from as well, right? So I don't know if it's in their blood or whatever the fuck it is, but
no, but again, I have a friend who lives in Nanaimo near Vancouver.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was there 3 times.
Yeah.
Customs guy was like, "What are you doing in Nanaimo for a third time? Like, you've seen enough.
Yeah, whatever you need to see, it's gone. It's done. It's
whatever
over.
It is, like just go. Nobody will know.
Yeah.
But it was super white.
Yeah. The only places I would really live, to be honest, is Toronto and Vancouver.
Exactly.
That's it. There's the only 2 places I'd feel comfortable to like have my kids go around and do whatever the fuck they want type of thing, right?
Still like Canada sucked with First Nations people.
Yes. Unfortunately I haven't really paid too much attention to it, but I know what's going on. Like it's unfortunate. Montreal is really good too, actually. Montreal is really nice. Quebec City, not so much. They're a little bit racist over there.
But they're a little bit like they want
to be friends.
Do them.
They want to be fucking friends.
They just want to do them.
Yeah.
And not
what the fuck are you doing in Quebec City?
Not like interact with their ass.
No. And they expect you to speak French to them.
Okay. I've heard. Like,
bonjour. That's all I got for you, brother. That's it. All right. Let's end off on this. Well, actually, I think that's a perfect fucking podcast name for yourself. Who came up with that?
Me.
You came up with this show?
Yeah.
I think it's perfect because it's you. It's totally fucking you. Like, I'm not trying to say it like in a mean way. Like, I think it's great. Like,
no,
it's great to have an opinion on it and on anything and to start off as, well, actually, this is my fucking thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, I got mansplained a lot and I've heard a lot of, well, actually. So I was like, I'm reclaiming well, actually.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. At first, it was going to be I respectfully disagree.
Oh, that's actually not bad.
Which I thought was cool.
I like
but
that
then
too.
I was like, dude, I've heard so many well actually.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna like tackle men being shitty online, I think that's the way to go. And people like that.
Oh man, I love the show. I love the guests that you've already had on. Esther Lin is one of my favorites. Like I actually, when I worked with the UFC in Calgary, me, her, Ariel, and Casey went to a CFL game together. Oh, because the UFC gave us tickets, and she was awesome. I think we're Facebook friends too, which is fucking weird. But she's super awesome. Laura Sanko, like you said, was great. Dan Stupp, even getting him on a podcast, it's kind of weird, but in a good way.
Yeah, he's my boss.
It's fucking awesome. He's great too. Like that's a guy that I really respect because he's kind of been there from the beginning.
Yeah,
started off fucking MMA Junkie. Sold it, made however millions that he did.
Whatever the fuck he made. He's still working.
Whatever the fuck he's making. Yeah.
Wouldn't know.
Let's end off on this. By the end of 2020, is there something that you want to accomplish?
Oh wow, 2020 is now. It's so
just started. It just started, but you have 12 months to make the most of this year.
What the fuck
do you want to
think about it?
I know 2019 like that. But is there anything, do you have a goal? Like, are you going into this year and be like, okay, I want to accomplish this, or I want to do a documentary, whatever the fuck it is?
No, I don't go into, I stopped doing that.
Okay. Like I think that's a good thing too, though.
My goals are internal. So it's kind of like, I want to be able to like be kinder on myself and to like, know me a little more and forgive my mistakes a little more and be a little less insecure. So I work on these like tiny internal goals, and I just hope that they lead to good things. And so far it's worked. 2019, I started working for The Athletic, which
big
was
gig
awesome.
there. Shout out The Athletic.
Which is amazing. Really, I love it there.
Yeah. You guys got a great group there.
It's a great group, great content, great place to work at. But so it's kind of like that. I never go into anything with goals like I want to do this, I want to do that. I really don't have them. It's not even like me being all high and mighty, like I'm superior. I don't need these things. I just don't.
Yeah.
So no, none of that. Just like working on being better, a better version of me, and hopefully that will lead to good things.
I know you're a couple glasses of wine in.
Yes.
But is there anything that you wanted to plug off the top of your head? Regardless, I'm going to put it in the bio or the description, sorry. But is there anything that you want to plug or let people know about?
No, I just
your
like
podcast,
my podcast.
Yep.
Well, actually,
there
are a few. So
and other MMA things and shit. Yeah.
And the
dot. Yep.
That's the easiest way to. It's an iPad thing. Sorry, Microsoft.
It's fine.
It's an iPad thing getting punched by a hand.
I love the logo
with MMA gloves.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
So it's easy to find.
Yeah.
So that's my podcast, and then I'm on Twitter, Fernanda Prates with the underscore at the end because.
So apparently, there's another Nanda Prates out there.
Stealing that freaking name.
Son of a bitch.
I'm gonna get you. And The Athletic.
Yes.
I actually had somebody talking to me today, and he was like, "How can I support your work without like supporting the paywall or something?" And I was like, "Dude, the best way that you can support content is deeming it, worth or, paying money for it."
Yeah.
So when you're supporting websites like The Athletic or just the freaking New York Times or whatever, like when you're paying that subscription, what you're saying is you're telling these people that what they're doing is worth money, and you're telling the company, you're giving them a place where they can work, and people focus on quality over quantity and quality.
That's the ultimate thank you, is paying somebody.
Ultimate thank you.
Yeah.
It's letting you be at a place where you can do your work and not care about clicks. So that's why I want to plug The Athletic, because it's like the best thing you can do for writers and content creators like me is to do that.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect way to end this podcast.
Yes.
You're the fucking best. Thank you for coming out here and not thinking that you're going to get kidnapped and chopped up and thrown in the garbage can or anything like that.
That's now.
You are the fucking best for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'm going to drop all of our info in the description below, so make sure you guys check that out. Any final words? You want to say something?
No. They might be my literal final words, though.
Wait, sorry, say that again?
They might be my literal final words.
I promise she's going to make it safe to wherever the fuck she's staying at right now. And then whenever she goes back to Rio, she will be back in one piece. I promise you that. Nanda, thank you as always. You're the fucking best. I hope whenever you come back up to Toronto, we'll do this again.
We'll do.
As long as you're not chopped up in a garbage bag.
Months, so maybe next
even
week.
Before. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I'll do anything.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you guys as always. And yeah, Nanda's the best.